What we do here is go back.
Possibly that is working. 1, 2. Yep, that seems to be working. Possibly. I'm looking at the screen cameras there. Good evening everyone, Mike here, Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. It is Saturday the 15th of July 2023. And what a washout day it's been today. Lots of rain, not any thunder quite yet. Still looking forward to that, should it happen. But yeah, not exactly summer. Seems that summer's been rescheduled again. We've had a couple of weeks and yeah, hopefully everything's working. If you can let me know if you can see me and hear me, that would be fantastic. If everything's in sync as well, that would be lovely. If you can let me know in the chat. And also if you're new here, fancy dropping a subscribe, maybe even a like if you feel that way inclined. That would be very nice of you. Tonight will be... Actually, can everyone hear me? See and hear you 100%. Ugly Bob says, thank you very much. Sky Stalker says, record high temperatures in Canada.
When was the record started? Yesterday.
Kenny says, can't wait to see this Ionz case. Awesome. Everything is good. Okay, so let's check out the overhead camera and see if that is working. That looks like it's actually extremely overexposed. There you go. Not much I can do, but... yeah, frame rate seems to be okay, and if you can hear me and see me and all that kind of stuff, awesome stuff. Here's Flame, oh, here's Flame and he's gone. Flame, come here. Let's have a little bit of your towel.
Oh, they couldn't see Flame because you're on the wrong camera.
You could see him in the corner.
Oh, Flame.
Looks fine. Okay. We'll show up dark parts well. Excellent. Okay, all good.
Get wet again,
excellent stuff. I haven't got the webcam plugged in or the desktop, so that's fine. We can work with that. So we will be taking a look today at a new case from Ionz. Well, I say new, it's been on the market a little while. They sent it to me a couple of weeks ago, and in complete transparency, they sent it to me, obviously free of charge, so we could review it and tell you what we think about it. Now, initially, I have taken it out of the box and I've had a good look through. And there are some things which personally I'm concerned with, which I feel could have been done slightly better. But overall, I think it is a fantastic little case with tons and tons of flexibility and tons of options, and it has a very, very nice, somewhat unique look, although a lot of the design language has been borrowed from different areas, different cases, which you'll see as we go through this. So yeah, it's a little bit of a weird one. I'm very much on the fence for it. It isn't perfect. And it's not, well, potentially it could be. I have actually gone back to Ionz, the company, and said, these are my concerns with this case at present. Is there anything you can do about it? Or is it just one of those things, and if there's a further revision or whatever, then potentially it might get changed or upgraded? It's a real shame. I've got to be honest with you, I was pissed. careful to say, I was like a bear with a sore head. I got this case, looked at everything, and I thought, yeah, this is an absolute winner. Fantastic price, looks great, tons and tons of cool features, but there's one or two just really almost daft design ideas which have stopped me from actually doing a full review on this at present, because I'm still waiting to hear back from the guys over at Ionz to see if there is actually anything they can do, whether there is any supplementary parts which could turn this into an absolute game changer of a case. So yeah, that's where we are with it. And Ionz it's an unusual brand. They do some really cool cases. If you've not seen the Ionz range before, if you go over to pcgamingcases.co.uk, they are the official distributors for Ionz in the UK. Or alternatively, you can search all your favourite places. There's many of our kind of UK suppliers which sell it. You can also pick them up on eBay, and from what we can tell from Kath doing some investigation a little bit earlier, they are available in other countries as well. Prices may not be quite as favourable as they are here, but Ionz cases, definitely, there's pretty much something for everyone. Ranging from like £20 up to kind of £70–£80. So there's a very wide range, and we've done tons of their cases before. The KZ-V was a firm favourite for a lot of you out there watching, and probably some of you actually in the stream tonight will probably have come across this channel from the Ionz brand. So if you have, thanks for sticking with us, much appreciated. And just checking out, people seem to be renewing their memberships. So we've got Lucky Man, excuse me, Lucky Man. Is that actually coming up on the screen? No, those don't come on. Welcome to supporter. Why does that not come up? Does that one come up? Yes, that one comes up.
And the other are just...
I've been having some real issues with streaming. I'm not sure what it is. I'm using Google Chrome. Obviously, Google is part of YouTube, etc. So you'd think it would be perfect. But for some bizarre reason, there's some bug, which means when I've got the pop-out chat, which you've probably seen before. So if you look on this live stream, you've got your chat on the right-hand side. There's an option there, the three little dots. You can click on there and do pop-out chat, so you can have it in a separate window, so you can float it around. Whenever I do that, anything I click on, as in text, it highlights it, but it also does the thing that if you click on the three dots on the end, where it says like go to channel, pin message, report, remove, timeout, etc, etc. It comes up with all that stuff for each one. And then, oh, if I turn this on, that'll be, no, it is on. So I have to press escape, and then I can actually scroll through the messages again. Otherwise it kind of just locks me in there as if it's waiting for a reply. So it's almost like I'm right clicking on every message, but I'm not, it's just left click. It seems to be happening on both computers, that one over there and this one. So it does seem to be something attached to my profile. It's really annoying me. And I don't know how to fix it, and I've searched it. I don't know even if I'm searching the right thing, but anyway. So if I miss any of your messages, or they don't pop up, or whatever, you don't see them on the screen, my apologies. We are working with what we've got. That is the best we can do. Tony says, take no notice of the bloke with the shiny head. That's me. Ionz cases are fine. He's a pedant. I don't know what that is, but it sounds pretty accurate. So today we're going to be taking a look at the KZ-V. We're going through, look at the box, do an unboxing, go through the things, show you the things I'm not keen on, show you the things that I am actually pleasantly surprised. It is essentially, we've probably seen the thumbnail, so it's kind of got the gull wing doors, the flip out sides, so it's kind of somewhere in between the Lianli Langcool 2 and 3, with some glass elements which would have been very kind of obvious on like an NZXT case. So lots of features borrowed from different places and put into one essentially very cheap case. And the fact that you can buy it for somewhere under £50, I think it's £47 for the black version without any fans, which actually I probably would recommend that. Or the white version without fans. The fans for me are the potential sticking point for this entire thing, which you'll see when we go through it. So hello to everybody. I do apologise as well. I've just had a massive pizza and I'm kind of dying now. I could quite easily go to sleep, but I won't. I will soldier on. And I should say as well, thank you for the super chats which have come in already. I'll just scroll through. We've got one there from Mick Woods. And it says, hi Mike and Kath, looking forward to the stream. See you all at 11:15. You are a poet and you don't know it, possibly. There was another one from Ugly Bob. It says disco, disco, disco. Not with my back, not a chance in hell.
I thank Ugly Bob for that one.
Kath says thanks if she didn't already.
Thanks, yeah.
Miserable. There's £2 from Tony. Thank you very much, Tony. Much appreciated. And I think that is pretty much it. God, that pizza, the sauce or the cheese must have had so much salt in it. I'm like a slug drying out. Oh dear. Where are we? So Ugly Bob's been a member for 22 months.
Not there, Bobby. Not there.
And O'Reilly's been a member for 18 months. Thank you, O'Reilly. Steve Larkin's with us. How you doing, Steve? Deathstroke's with us as well. Deathstroke says I've got an IONZ KZ-V and love it. Yeah, the 24 was a good one as well, wasn't it? To be honest with you, there's not that many IONZ cases that are kind of awful. Most of them are pretty good, apart from there's a couple of weird ones which are designed for like office builds where it's just a box, which it's hard to get excited over just a plain box really.
Unless it's got pizza in it.
Yeah, if it's got pizza in it, I get really excited. Scott Stalker says he's been a member for 22 months. He says, only 22 weeks. It says 22 months there.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, yeah. Deathstroke says, is this micro ATX or ATX? It is ATX. It will take micro ATX and ITX as well, should you wish to. Captain Rovis says, Michael's already unboxed his 14-inch meat feast and now is unboxing his stomach. Yeah. I'm not reading that, Bob. Hello, Adam N. O'Reilly. O'Reilly says, which IONZ cases are the office builds plain boxes? Useful to know for when I need a cheap case. I'm not sure the exact model numbers. I'll find out. I'll have to look on their website to see what the deal is about. But anyway, I think we're done. I think we're ready. So let's get straight in and get on with this, because I don't want to bore you all to tears any more than I necessarily have to, which no doubt I probably will. And this is where I do my back in, trying to lift the thing up to the bloody desk. Because I can't bother to stand up, yeah.
It's always self-inflicted.
It is laziness, isn't it? So the box, as you can see, yeah, not the most exciting of things. It has up to 400mm clearance for VGA cards. It has, whatever that is, airflow.
That's in focus.
It's probably in focus on me
It's
heat.
just my phone.
It's got USB, it's got fans, and it's got 175mm fans, which is slightly unusual. So on the back side, or side, whichever you want to look at, so there's two versions with their fancy names. So there's the dark ether, and there's the light ether. This case might also be known on some sites as being the IONZ Aether, spelt like that.
KZ-30 is an office style case.
Thank you, whoever posted
Deathstroke.
that. Deathstroke, thank you for that. Awesome. Cooling configuration. So this one comes with two 140mm on the front and one 120mm on the back. Although it says 175mm, so I don't quite understand that anyway, but it looks like it's a 140. I think that is pretty much it.
Patrick's just nipped in, he's on his way to a party.
Oh, cheers Patrick, and hi and bye. So specifications wise, got one USB 3.0, two USB 2.0, and you've also got HD audio, usual kind of stuff here. So it's actually support for eATX as well. So eATX, ATX, micro ATX and ITX. The actual filtrations, I think that is. No, sorry. PSU position, bottom and ATX. Maximum length 220mm, pretty standard these days. Radiator support, you can put 360 in the front or a 420. I don't know if that's accurate, if I'm honest. In the top you can put a 360, which I'm not entirely sure either. I haven't tried yet, but I will grab a radiator, so we'll try that to see if it fits. And in the rear you've got 120mm space, or 140mm. Where are we? Times two, what's that say? Loopless. Oh, toolless. So you can put two 3.5-inch drives in here, four 2.5-inch drives. You have got a maximum VGA length of 400mm, maximum CPU height clearance of 175, so that's actually pretty decent. 7 expansion slots, yeah. you get a general idea. So let's get this thing out of the box, which I'm going to actually have to stand up to do this, unfortunately, because otherwise I actually will destroy my spine, which I'm not overly keen on doing. Oh, that was lucky. The foam almost missed the side of the desk. That is literally hanging by a thread. Let's get the electric shock out of the way. Oh no, it's good. I thought that was going to be a more shocking experience, but it wasn't. I must not do this standing up, Lark. Hard work. When you get to my age, it's all hard work. Was it Poppy? Poppy's chirping away there. I'm not sure if you can hear her.
You see a fly?
There must be a fly somewhere.
Oh, Zora. Stop.
Now, Kath, you'll have to watch out for the reflecto pouring on this. No doubt there will be some. She's literally pulled her hoodie over her head. So what side do we want to see first? So let's see the side. So this is the side, the side that you're most likely to see whilst viewing your gorgeous components. And as you can see, there is the kind of usual deal here with, you've got like the ring pull thing, which as someone like me who doesn't have any fingernails, because I'm so nervous and uptight, these are actually a little bit of a pain in the backside. Although my nails aren't, because I haven't got any. So open that up.
Ew.
And just pop them open. So it's on magnets. So it's almost like self-closing really. So it's pretty decent. And those will open right up. And you can just pop those off if you want to. Should you need to, if you want to get more access. Not that you can really get much more access, but if you're maybe working on something and you're a bit concerned that you're maybe going to damage the glass or that it's going to topple over is what I meant to say. You can get the general idea. Anyway, so there is the interior space. Actually, plenty of room. You got a dual GPU steady. Oh God, words is hard today. A dual GPU steady or caddy or rack, whatever you want to call it. So if you've got a big graphics card, you can use one or two, whatever you want to do. You can close that one down or move it. Okay.
Colin says your lazy Susan will be a lot easier for rotating the case, but as he's seen the speed of it.
Yeah, the lazy Susan is like really slow because it's a mechanical one. So, and it only spins in one way until you turn the power off and turn it back on again quickly, and then it spins the other way. So I don't have. Actually, I must get one at some point. A proper lazy Susan with decent bearings in. It doesn't sound like an old-fashioned kind of scale electric or something when you turn it around. Anyway, so there is the inside. This I like a lot. This is ventilated at the side, and that is again on magnets. So that is very handy. So even if you've got the side panel closed, as you probably will do most of the time, and you maybe want to do something, maybe you want to install a drive or swap out a drive, pop that down, go into the caddies and do whatever you want to with your hard drives. So this, I guess, is really kind of more tailored towards people that have a lot of storage, especially 3.5 inch or 2.5 inch drives, purely because of the fact that you've got the access available there. So that is kind of nice. You can, if you want to, you can actually, I think you can remove that entire case, or caddy rather, and you can actually move it forward and back as well. There's some screws on the bottom, so you can move that forward a little bit if you want a bit more room for your power supply. If you want to put a radiator in there, then yeah, you can move that around as you see fit. So yeah, it's all pretty nice. That is that side. We take.
Random review says he says I'd probably store my, no, not really random reviews. The Freedom House. I would probably store my mouse in there.
Store your mouse in there, yeah. That's it. Put your mouse in there when you're not using it. You could even put a little USB in there, couldn't you, for charging? So you just chuck it in there and leave it charging overnight. And it's actually surprisingly heavy. It's like really heavy, but you'll know why in a minute. Anyway, so the back, standard ATX power supply layout there. You've got all of these are removable proper PCI Express blanking covers, which you don't always see at cases around about this price point, 45 to 50 quid. It's actually quite rare to see actual removable PCI Express blanking plates, especially ones that are color coded as well. So ATX, yeah, standard ATX motherboard or ITX motherboard, whatever you want to do. You've got 120mm option there for fans, or a 140, I believe. Is it 140? I better measure that. That is something I have not checked. That might actually be a 140 in the back. No, that's a 120. That's odd, because I could have swore they said in the manual just now that you could have a 140 in the back. But it isn't, it's just a 120. Where does it say that?
It's like the Game Expert with tempered glass on both sides.
Yeah, I guess it kind of is, really.
Adam says, I don't like that metal on the sides. It would show off my poor cable management. I removed the drive cage and just stuffed it all in there. Yeah,
that is something to be considering. You could, if you wanted to, with the side panels. Well, I can show you probably better on this one. So you've got the side panel there. That's ventilated. So if you wanted to, you could just get some sticky back plastic, or if you're a cheapskate like me, just get some white cardboard and just stick the cardboard in there, and then you'll still have the holes. You'll see the holes, but you won't see actually inside, which might be beneficial if you don't like that kind of thing. The whole point of this, really, this mesh, is the fact that it's bizarrely, this case is a updraft cooling setup and almost a negative pressure setup, which is really confusing, but you'll understand more when I flip it around to the other side, or at least to the front rather. So again, the back panel, you've got tempered glass. This, I think personally, is completely pointless. But on the flip side of that, you try finding a case with triple tempered glass for under £50. It's virtually impossible. There may be some kind of weirdo thing on AliExpress where it potentially might show up, but chances are the postage is going to be horrendous. So to have triple tempered glass, all this stuff for under 50 quid, it's absolutely astounding. And this back section, I think, has actually been done pretty well. So I'm going to take this bit of glass off. We'll put that to one side for now, and we'll endeavour to look a little bit closer. So obviously all the usual stuff is here. You've got all your accessories, etc. in this baggie, and there is the remote control as well. So the remote control, if you've probably not guessed already, is for the fans and for the lighting. So that is going to give you the fan speeds, and it's also going to give you the different colors or statics, whatever, or you can just turn it all off, turn it on. There's also an MB button, so motherboard pass through. So if you want to let the PWM control and also the lighting go through to your motherboard, then you can definitely do that. In terms of the I/O, then you've got the addressable RGB. That's coming from the hub, which I'll show you in a minute. You've got a SATA plug, so that powers the hub. You've then got your HD audio, USB 3.0, USB 2.0, and your front panel connections, as you'd expect. You also got obviously two mounting sections here for putting 2.5-inch drives, attaching those onto the back panel. Those will actually look quite cool if you've got a pair of matching drives, or maybe some of those is it T-Force addressable RGB ones. Those might be quite cool actually in the back there, but realistically you're not going to see a great deal of that. Oh, I'm going to definitely fall over. So let's take this apart a little bit more and see what else is going on. So they've kind of, to try and get the cable management to look as neat as physically possible, you've got these removable panels. Again, this is a £50 case, if you buy it without the fans anyway. So here you can see, nice big cutout there for gaining access to the back of your motherboard. So if it's a ITX one, for putting in maybe an M.2 drive, for other things, for CPU coolers, etc. Got nice rubberized grommets for passing through all your cabling, and they've already routed that through already. It's actually, the way they've done this is pretty good, because it's not actually that complicated a thing to do. It's only a relatively plain piece of metal, and in order to actually get it to attach, it's just using a motherboard standoff screw, or a motherboard standoff pillar. which is genius really. So you don't need any real complicated stuff there, and that just slots in. So they haven't spared any expense, but they've not made any unnecessary expense, at least not yet. I will come to that. We're getting there, we're getting there. And for this side panel, this is actually, I think really this side panel they could have done with putting 2 screws in, maybe one at the top, one at the bottom. The middle one is going to give you a little bit of that kind of wiggle, I think, if there's too many cables behind. But still, it does what it needs to do, which is the all important thing. So hopefully you guys can all see that quite well. So there is the Ionz controller hub. So yes, it is a controller hub. It is unfortunately using the proprietary kind of 6 or 7 pin connectors for the fans, which they've included already, which isn't the end of the world. Although if you want to add more fans to the system, then basically you're out of luck, because you can only use the ones which actually come with it, which actually is a shame. I think if they'd have spent a little bit more money, possibly going for maybe some like up here fans with one of their controllers, I think it would have added a bit more value to it. For most people, I think you're probably happy with just the fans that it comes with as standard. Stick a radiator in the top, you're good to go. But for other people who like to kind of maybe go with air cooling, having a few more extra fans on the top to synchronize with this, I think would have been a very nice thing to have been able to do.
Too much rubbish.
Sorry, it's my fault. Thank you for the super chat, David Aitken, even all my fans. Bless you. Thank you very much for your £2. Much appreciated, sir. Oh, that pizza wants to come back up. Right, so other key features here. We have got Velcro tie downs, which again, 50 quid case, not something you always get, especially nowadays. Like when we think about a £50 case in 2023, and we think about a £50 case in 2018 or 2019, it's a really different ballgame. The whole market has shifted. The whole thing that we saw where there was no stock available, shipping prices went through the roof, those effects are still with us to this day, and probably won't wear off anytime soon, because companies have kind of got used to it, and because the shipping prices went up, distribution prices went up, fuel prices went up, electric prices went up. Everybody's had their kind of hand in the till, so to speak, so everybody wants their slice of the pie. So instead of like one company soaking up all that extra, it's basically spread out through the entire kind of ecosystem of everything from manufacturer through to the retailer. So unfortunately, unless someone in that chain makes a kind of distinct momentum to try and reduce that and bring things back into level, then things are going to stay like this for a long while, unfortunately, because obviously no one in the chain wants to be the first one to turn around and say, well, I don't want to make so much money. That ain't going to happen, is it? Clearly. So even if the costs go down at the kind of the manufacturing end, they're going to be thinking, well, the costs have gone down a little bit. Do we pass that cost saving on yet? We're still selling stuff. Do we need to reduce our prices? So, yeah,
well, it's like our council. You could just charge for something and not do it.
That is very true. So anyway, I'll get off of that subject. So got cable tidies there, so for routing cables through. They're only plastic, but they're going to do the job. It's actually been routed quite nicely straight out of the factory out of the box. I've done nothing to this basically. This is kind of how it came. I don't think I've done anything anyway. Have I? Don't think I did. There are some strange things going on here though, I must point out. So you can see here we've got this hexagonal mesh, which actually, if they would have moved everything this way a little bit, or that way a little bit, you could have used that for fans, which would have actually been quite a cool thing to do. Although you have got the thing blocking it, so yeah, it's not ideal. So I don't quite really understand why the hexagonal thing, because you're going to see your cables from the other side. So really, I think they should have either blanked that off or just left the metal in there. I'm guessing it costs money to punch out these things. I'm no expert, but I'm sure that any extra step in the process is going to be costly. And I don't think that the removal of this amount of metal would reduce the shipping costs enough to warrant making up the tooling to actually punch that out. I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know. I really don't. Anyway, the hub there, so that's stuck in place. You can stick in a couple more items if you can get hold of the fans, which realistically I don't think you're going to be able to very easily. I've looked on the Ionz site. I didn't see them available for sale separately, so I'm kind of just leaving that where it is. It is what it is, which is why, for me personally, I think if I was going to go to build a PC myself with this for a mid to high-end system, I would probably buy it without the fans and just go with my own stuff, maybe throw in some Arctic fans or some thermal takes or something along those lines. Yes, Gav?
This way up says, nice looking case for the money. Have I missed the USB ports?
No, you haven't missed the USB ports. No, we'll be coming on. Well, I've talked about them very briefly, but not in any real depth. Also, I should mention as well, there are the rubber grommets there. So you've got more rubber grommets to pass in through the cables. So in terms of like, if you were to buy a case, this is kind of Lian Li level attention to detail. The hub itself is here nor there. Again, got rear access there to the drive caddies, etc. Pretty decent amount of room in there for a power supply. So yeah, no real issues. They've even put some foam padding there in 2 places on each side for absorbing vibrations from power supplies, which actually a lot of manufacturers will often just go with 1 or 2 pads just to kind of cheapen things out. So they've gone the extra distance and put 4 pads on there, which again is not really a huge thing, but it is attention to detail. And I think personally we should applaud that where it is done. So let's move round to the problem area, which might not be a problem to some of you, but to me it's something which bothers me and effectively stops this case being basically perfect. So in the front here you can see the fans. So these are, I think these are 140mm at the back, but they're 175 at the front because they're kind of cone-like, so they're larger in the front than what they are in the back. 2 of them in here, I think personally they look absolutely magnificent. It's a really, really nice striking look, and because you've got this mesh section at the bottom, now there will be a slightly yellower look to the white behind the glass, just because of how glass works. So it's not going to be an exact match all the way around, which is very common. Again, even if you buy a Lian Li case, my 216 is the same. Where the glass goes over anything white, it is a slightly different color white. It's just the way that it works with glass. So mesh at the bottom. Behind that mesh, there's also hexagonal mesh as well, just to keep it strengthened. So even if you're
you've got marble proddy fingers
you're jabbing at it, it's not going to dent or deform. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Obviously, you've got the tempered glass there. If you go for the black version, I think it's a smoked glass as well, as are the sides possibly. I haven't had a very close look at it, but I think that is the case.
Nick Barham asks, would cone shape speed up airflow?
Yes, in theory, the whole idea, like if you think of a jet engine, it's kind of large at the front with the intake and it kind of tapers towards the back to funnel the air out, much like a traffic cone. If you try to blow through one or whatever, yeah, a cone effectively will concentrate an airflow. Much like air nozzles, if you go to the garage to do your tyres or for a jet wash, all the water goes through like a really wide pipe sort of thing and then tapers down to a tiny one to build pressure and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, effectively that is the idea to do that, but there's a very simple reason why that doesn't work in this case, which I will show you next. So to take the front panel off, you can just grab it from the front. Actually, let me show you the bottom first of all before I take that off, because then this is going to kind of make a little more sense to you. So obviously this bit here is solid glass. Those are fans. So the immediate thing is there enough distance between the glass and the fans? Or can the fans pull in air from elsewhere? Key considerations. Now, because you've got this mesh at the bottom and this section behind it is open, the fans can actually draw in air from underneath and it will come up through and blow through. Not optimal, but it is workable. The only thing is, everything on here is filtered, but when you get to the bottom, you've got a grab handle for the case. So airflow, much like water flow, works in the path of least resistance. So with this, obviously you've got resistance in front from the glass. You've got a little bit of resistance there because you've got kind of mesh on mesh almost. So air is just going to come straight up through the grab handle, which is going to be totally unfiltered. which kind of negates the whole reason of having any of the filters on the side or anywhere, because it's absolutely pointless. And that for me is one of those little design things. It's like, how does that go through the entire design process? At some point, obviously there's people designing these cases and someone's signing off on this and saying, yes, we will spend X amount of money to do the tooling for this. And it's just ridiculous. Like this, a full length mesh filter on the bottom. Absolutely fantastic. Again, at £50, there's no way on God's green earth you're going to find another case with this level of filtration and features for the money. You won't. It's impossible. It doesn't happen. I get really animated about it. And I'm not going to read that out, Bob, but thank you very much for the super chat. I suggest, ladies and gentlemen, you read Ugly Bob's comment. That's a good one. So, the filter on the bottom. This is brilliant. Like,
you think they'd make it that little bit longer that you could sort of
absolute full length filter, yeah. If this came right all the way up to the front and then another inch forward, absolutely amazing. Because you could just push it backwards with your thumb or something. That would be brilliant. That would be the ultimate solution to this problem. Or the ultimate solution, in my opinion, if you're to buy this case for yourself, is some white electrical tape. Although this is not kind of white because I don't ever use white. But literally, you could... Uh-oh, Daisy's having a field day. I've run out of white tape now. So
it's not really white, is it?
It's not quite white and it's not quite wide enough. But essentially, something like that is the answer to the problem. Then the course of least resistance is through the mesh, through the filters, bada bing, bada bang, it's all good. We all live happily ever after. So I have asked them if in their potential wisdom they can either make a blanking plate that would go over there and include it in future shipments, which I think would be actually quite useful. Realistically, again, if you're spending somewhere around 40, 50, 60 pounds on a case, is having absolute filtration in your airflow something that you're going to really kind of deal break on something like this? Possibly not. I don't know. But it's one of those things that it's just like, come on, this level of detail, this level of design, construction, etc. And there's a gap there.
Sleepy the Clown, let's get you off that subject. What case is this?
This case is the IONZ KZ-V, or the it's also known as the Ether, Light Ether, IONZ Light Ether. Anyway, let's get off that subject. So, full-length mesh filter, hexagonal. We've got that really nice tight mesh design on there. This stuff is perfect for air filtering. It really is. There's a really good job. It's got very good airflow, and you can still filter larger particles from it. So this is what I would prefer to see personally. Then you've got the hexagonal mesh at the bottom here, and you've got the potential there. There's the 4 screws. I nearly said 6 screws. There's 4 screws there. So if we loosen those off, I might as well do that now actually while I'm here. So you can loosen these off a little. And they've even done the Lian Li thing, whereas they've used chrome or silver screws rather than using either white or black ones, so it kind of all blends in, which I think is very good. I like it a lot.
Can the fans be repositioned on PSU shroud?
Yes, they can. So there you go. You can move the whole thing forward or backwards. It's not the most elegant of designs, but it will work. It will get the job done. Yeah, I think that is pretty much it for the bottom. Something else they've done as well is the actual foam feet. Nice, real big chunky chunks of foam there to keep the vibrations down to a minimum. The feet raised the case up off the deck about an inch, so you're going to still get some airflow coming underneath there for your power supply, for your hard drives and stuff like that, and obviously for the front panel. So while I'm on this side now, let's take this front panel off. I don't like doing that. So you can see there's the glass, and there is the, again, more hexagonal shapes, kind of mesh on mesh, which is not ideal for airflow, but it will allow airflow. And now we can take a closer look inside. And actually, let me take this glass side panel off as well, because that's something else which I can drop or lose. Thank you very much, David, for the £5 takeaway checkout. Chinese takeaway was a hit with an electricity bill for... A Chinese takeout was hit with an electricity bill for 12k. They told the reporter that although they can't turn off all the lights, they do dim some. Boom! That is very good. Jason Woods, I got a fish which looks like Mike. It's cool, and if Mike doesn't mind, I will call it Mike. I think you definitely should. That's a very nice thing. It's my legacy.
What fish is it with a head like that?
Don't ask. Don't ask. So now we get to the nitty gritty. So this is where the fans are mounted. This potentially could be much better. Because of the fans being so close to the glass, they don't really pull in a huge amount of air. So if you're looking for an airflow case, obviously it's got a glass front, so it's not going to be. Now that is something which I did mention to the guys over at Ionz, and I said, look, clearly this is glass. Clearly this is a glass panel. Is there any possibility of the manufacturer or yourselves to actually get in touch with them and just say, like, is there a complete mesh front panel? If this whole front panel was just completely mesh, this would be great. This would absolutely change the case entirely. Or if the glass was come out a little bit further, just maybe another ½ an inch, quarter of an inch, just to give the fans enough to pull in some air from the front. Because at the moment they're basically going to be recycling air from the inside. Now there's a good reason why they're going to recycle air from the inside, and that is because the fans...
It's a fat molly.
Actually, no, I am...
can see that a bit now, I think.
It's a fat molly. Thank you for that. So the fans are cone shape, and there's LED slits around the side, which I actually thought were side slits for taking out, letting air through. Basically, I thought it was open, but it's not. It's actually solid, so it is cone shaped inwards. So yeah, the fans are kind of cool. We'll fire them up in a minute so you can see what they actually look like. And something which I think I would do personally is I would take the fans out from the front and I'd put them just behind. Moving them back an inch would give a lot more chance for it to pull up air from the front section, and also potentially recycle some of the air in the case anyway, which then you're going to try and exhaust from either the top or from the back. So it's not like a deal breaker, but it's kind of, you've got two fans on the front which are potentially not doing as much as they possibly could, which is a real shame in my opinion.
A little bit off topic. LP5H.
Yeah, I can't know.
Can you help me try and install AM4 CPU cooler? I've used your video but it doesn't work. Discord?
Yeah.
Do you want to say it?
Yeah, for LP5H, obviously doing it in the stream is going to be really hard to help you with your cooler, but if you head over to our Discord, some of the guys that are watching this will be in there now, or if not, just ask the question in one of the tech support rooms and we'll try and help you out as best we can, or I'll be on a little bit later. Right, fans, well, yeah, that's where I was. So with the fans, the trouble is with this, the design and the whole look of this is, like, this is what it's all about, isn't it? So having this kind of look and layout where you can see the fans, they all light up nicely, you see the lighting. It's kind of, the case is designed around this look. So if you had like 3 120mm fans in their front, like in the normal configuration, it would look a bit weird because one would be kind of hidden down the bottom here. So it's kind of limited on what you can actually do with this. Now, if you wanted to move the fans slightly backwards a little bit, the trouble you run into then is because the frame is designed for 120 and 140mm fans, most of the fans get blocked out on the front, so you can't actually see how nice they look, which is a real shame. That is why this frustrates me so much, because there's so many things in this case which they've done just so right, but that whole thing there, for me, really bothers me. So I am going to be doing a build in this
Jason was just asked that.
coming up very soon, because I really want to see how badly it affects it. Now, I'll put a power supply on this in a little bit with a, we'll fire up the fans and all that, and we'll try and get some readings of what the fans are actually kicking out, and then we'll take the glass off the front and see how much improvement there is in the airflow. I think it's going to be a big difference, like a huge difference, but we will find that out together. So anyway, that is the front. I think those are way too close. Sorry. I am being pinged. Who is pinging me? I sold someone a PC earlier. Oh, actually there's a super chat. Who's that from? Sorry, I'm going to hide that so it can't be seen.
Nick Barnes.
Is that who sent it?
There is a donation from Nick Barnes.
Won't let me log in, so you'll have to do it. Thank you, Nick Barnes. Bless you.
That sounds like Facebook to me.
No, this is... Oh, I thought it was a bad thing. When you get sent a load of things on Messenger, you think it's bad. Yeah, basically sold a PC earlier. Let's see, looks great. They came all the way over from Chepstow as well. Well, it's my own fault because I basically sold a PC way under what it cost me. Well, not way under, but I lost money on it, effectively. Because that's what I try and do. Clear stuff out, get stuff in, clear stuff out, and hope and pray that the channel makes a bit of money. So any losses I make on selling the PCs at a loss, swings and roundabouts, eventually it'll come back. That is the hope. That is the dream. Whether or not it's going to work, we'll find out at the end of the year when we do the tax return. Well, actually, you probably never know. Anyway, moving on from that. So, inside we've got these... There's a pair of GPU mounts. Which, again, this is, I think, is a little bit of a waste of time. Because where they physically are, and you're going to have a seriously big graphics card to need both of these mounts. So, I think just one of them would have been absolutely fine.
UK Miners Club says let them know when this case is for sale, lol.
Okay, no worries. Let's get on to my next little pet peeve. So, this whole section here is a cable management track. So, you can slot the cables in behind there. But, the cable management track is really narrow. So, your cable is going to have to come out and do like a really tight bend, which is going to be fine. But if you've got maybe like a Corsair power supply where you've got those quite thick cables, or you've got a little diode pack built in underneath the shrink wrap, I think you might struggle. Now for me personally, using some of the cheaper power supplies we use, like some of those cheap GameMax ones or whatever, where the cabling is not the highest of gauge anyway, then you're going to be absolutely fine with it. But if you're using bigger ones, then potentially, yeah, it could be problematic. Stuart Cleary, Super Chat, €20. Thank you very much. I can see it through the hole in the PC. That's handy. Just finished a build with a few of your vids. Helped me out a lot. Thank you. You're very welcome. And thank you for the Super Chat. Much appreciated.
Captain Roger says, looks like the mounts are for 2 GPUs and surely rotate to the left, no? Or is that not?
Yeah, these GPU brackets are, again, it's a little bit overkill for what it needs. I think one of these would have been absolutely fine, but I think they've made it in the kind of mindset of maybe, like I said, one on the top of the GPU, one on the bottom, because they have got foam pads on the top and also the bottom, so you could potentially use it as like a sandwich kind of deal. Or I'm thinking actually if we take this one off, we might be able to, but then having a sandwich effect for it is almost a bit pointless, because most graphics cards don't have any issue whatsoever with downward force because gravity is trying to pull it down anyway. So yeah, you could do that, so you could have like a sandwich effect going on. I don't know. You can also put 2.5-inch drives on here, so you've got the holes there for mounting two 2.5-inch drives there.
Which weight will those things take before they snap? I'm joking, no one's asked it, is only me.
Oh. Yeah, they don't want to snap. I've tried the snap test there, they didn't want to snap. So they're actually pretty strong. But I think again it's one of those things that it's been put in there, and I can see why they've done it. It's like there's like a tick box list of things that people want from modern cases. And it's like, oh, GPU support, yep, check. And for some reason they decided they want to do 2 in there. Again, yeah.
Alan says there's a lot of unnecessary stuff for such a low price case.
Yeah. That is the thing. So much so. I think personally, let me know what you think in the chat. I think myself, if they'd have ditched the cable channel, this cable management bar, ditched possibly the fans and the control box, and just put in some other decent fans, which I think would make more sense. Because this is kind of like,
Freedom
it's cool,
House.
but it's a bit pointless.
That would.
But it's a bloody nice case, that's the trouble.
Freedom House, that would have been better to have intake there, get rid of the back glass for mesh and get rid of the GPU bracket thing, but under 50 can't argue.
Yeah.
Lucky Man says would help with water cooling support, those things.
Yeah, that's, actually, yeah, water cooling, yeah, you could put,
And 40
put your res on there maybe.
Those brackets are perfect for it,
Yeah,
but in that little case.
that is,
Or in
yeah.
that cheaper case.
I don't know. 4090, yeah, it would be alright in there actually. It probably would fit. So yeah, this is where it gets me, because like you've got cable grommets there to put your cables through, which I totally understand. It makes sense. It's nice and it's a refinery. But literally next to it, you've got this open section where you can see the cables. If you take that bracket out. So that's what I think. If you just leave the bracket out, put some sort of coating on here, or just put another panel there. I potentially, if I'm going to do a build in this, I might leave this out altogether, because I don't want to put any drives in here. I don't necessarily need the GPU supports. So I think it looks, to me, I think it looks cleaner like that. Let me know what you think. I think it certainly does. And I'd be tempted just to get some Fablon or some sticky back plastic and just literally cover that.
Some of that yellow white tape.
And get some yellow white tape and yeah, cover that up. Because it doesn't really need to be there. And also because you've got the wires for the fans, etc. there, it's a little bit ugly there. So I think covering that up would be better. You could just put the cable channel back in, probably remove the brackets, I don't know, maybe leave them in. It's fine, but this is the downside now. So if you do want to get the best out of the fans and you want to move them back a little bit, so behind the metal here, that is when you can't use the bracket, because where the bracket sits, there's 2 options, a little bit further back, a little bit further forward. But unfortunately, whichever way you do, I don't think you can still attach it. Or if you do that, you're then covering up the cable grommets, so it's even harder to get the cables through. So if it's there, where is it? Where's the holes? There's the first set of holes there. So they're actually blocking the cable grommets anyway. You can't really see them. And if you move it across to the next slot hole, you just basically see the mesh behind there. So you never actually really see the grommets. So they're a bit pointless being in there. It's nice that they're there. I think they'd have been better put them down the bottom. So actually, I'm going to do that now. If they fit in there, which I'm pretty sure they will do, because there isn't actually any at the bottom. And the bottom ones are probably where you... Is that the right size? Yeah, they will go in the bottom. So that I think would be the better choice. Ditch those there, because they're going to be covered up anyway. You're never going to see them. And then you've got 2 to replace the ones on the bottom. Happy days. That is much better.
Jason Wood says,
I think.
Thinking about starting my own business building gaming PCs. You helped me come up with the idea. Thanks, Mike.
Sorry. Sorry about that.
Booty says, can you put the front fans on the other side of the metal?
Yeah, that is what I was going to come to next. So I'll quickly do that. Although I'll say quickly, you can't really do anything quickly in this, because the screws for the fans are actually in behind. So if you do ever want to move the fans, make sure you do it before you've done a build in here, because otherwise you're going to have to either have a right angled screwdriver or a very small graphics card or a very small motherboard, because otherwise it all gets in the way.
Space for a front rad?
Yeah, there's definitely space for a front rad, but then it's kind of pointless, because where are you going to get in the air from? Because having a radiator behind a sheet of glass is not going to be a good idea. It's not going to be pulling in air. So realistically, for a radiator, the only 2 options are the rear, which is pointless because it's a 120, and the top, which you can put in a 360.
Mookie Mark, better to try putting on the bracket after running the cables.
Better to what, sorry?
Put on the bracket after running the cables.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. See, this is all the things that was going through my mind when I was going through this case and looking at the pros and cons and thinking, like, this is the best case for features for its money by a country mile. The only one even remotely close to this, I think, within the last few years would probably be the GameX F15, where that was, I think that's still probably one of the best cases that have been on the market for that sort of price point. Other than that, there was a few kind of random fly-by-night ones from eBuyer Gaming. There was a couple of good ones from them, about £40, £50. They were actually not bad at all. I'm reminiscing now about the good old days with the good old cases.
And the XR3s.
And the XR3s, yeah.
Stuart Cleary, why do case manufacturers still include HDD, SSD caddies? I always remove them to make room for PSU cables.
I think the majority of it is, you've got to think, like, case manufacturers, although like America and Europe, Australia, etc. God. It does scare me taking that out there with that tempered glass. The kind of the market is a really diverse one. So you've got obviously the more premium markets, I suppose, like USA, etc., Europe, whatever. But then you've also got like the emerging economy markets as well, where a lot of those places are still using mechanical drives, using like older hardware. So actually having the kind of legacy support for this stuff, it is totally understandable. It's something which is kind of, it's all part of the kind of globalization of the world, obviously the world. But yeah, that's kind of what it's all about. So you have to kind of cater to a very, very wide and diverse market and try and please everybody, which is not going to be easy to do. It's a very hard thing to do, in fact. But it is a necessity. And also, I think like Ionz, much like companies like John's Bow and kind of other like AliExpress brands, you've got to think a lot of them are catering to other markets where it's just a completely different mindset. I think in some, I think it's, where is it I found it? Some are like Rio Toro, which are a company which do, they don't so much do a great deal now, but if you go to somewhere like, where was it I've seen them? Mexico. In Mexico, Rio Toro is like, they're the cooler master of Mexico. They sell an absolute ton of stuff there. But because they've kind of tailored their stuff for that market. Whereas, like, when we're reviewing it, and I've looked at some of the stuff, it's like, I don't know, it's not quite to my taste. So that's the kind of trade-off. Some companies do, some companies don't.
Jason Woods.
Jason Woods. I can almost see it. Would you review the first PCI build mic? Yeah, of course I would. And I would give it a honest appraisal. Yes, I would be happy to do that for you. In fact, there is actually somebody who's been watching the channel. I can't think of their name off the top of my head now. It was in the emails, but they've started building PCs. They've got their own little business doing it, and they said, like, would you give me a shout out, or maybe if I send you a PC, could you review it? I was like, yeah, of course, yeah, I'd be more than happy to do that. Kath's gonna look. Yeah, have a look on the email. I think it was either Sean or Steve. It possibly began with an S. Can't remember now.
Hold on.
Kath will find it and I'll be completely wrong. It'll be like Peter or something.
When was this?
A couple of months ago.
Oh, okay. Scott?
Scott? No. Is it? Yeah, I think that's it. Is it the link for a Facebook page?
It's a
Go on, you can.
Just the website then, yeah?
Yeah.
Should I just put that in the chat?
Well, I don't know. Tell me what it is first.
Oh, Apex PC stuff.
Apex, that's the one.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah.
Just put it in the chat, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, so one of the viewers reached out and said, would you mind giving a shout out, or could you do some sort of sponsorship or something? So there you go. There's your shout out. So anyway, that is what the fans look like if you put them on behind. So the immediate thing that you're going to notice is obviously it's actually quite a thin slit of where the airflow is actually available. Now that isn't always a bad thing, but if you put the front panel back on,
UK Miners Club, I've seen him advertising on Facebook.
No, so I don't know. What do you think about that? I'm looking at it and I don't like it at all. It makes me feel angry. Unjustifiably so. Unnecessarily so. Now you could, if you wanted to, if you're handy with a Dremel, you don't mind doing it, you could cut out some of those bars, which I think would actually make it look far better and would obviously give it a bit more airflow. But because the fans are kind of quite wide, and they're wide, although they fit in a 140mm like socket or space, I suppose you want to call it, they're actually wider than that as well, so they kind of overspill. So you'd have to do some pretty hardcore cut in there to actually make it look nice. You know, like on some Corsair cases where they have like the perfect circle for where the fans should go. It's that kind of thing. It could do with having that, in which case those I think would work actually pretty well like that, because they're far enough back to be able to pull in air from the front and the bottom, etc., without causing too much grief. You'd still be able to see them. It'd still look kind of nice, but not. I think it needs to be closer forward, personally.
William Bodie.
William Bodie. Ugly Bobs. Des Ducker says it don't look right. Yeah, I don't think it does. I think it looks wrong, very wrong. And
light it up now, or have you finished doing everything?
I think I have. Yeah, I'll put the fans back in.
No, leave them like that and light them up, and then put them back in.
I'll do that because I want to do some airflow tests to see what it actually pulls.
Make those white lines disappear.
Personally, I think if it's lit up now, I think if anything, I just realised I have got no crappy power supplies left. That's a good thing.
Mind you, don't knock all that off.
That's all right. Okay. If I knock it all off, there's a good reason to not actually have to do the review.
Forget the Dremel, get the grinder out.
Yeah.
You've got thanks, William.
Right, talk amongst yourselves a minute. I'm sorry, I'm grabbing some necessary profiteroles.
You've got profiteroles?
No. What do we want? SATA, don't we? SATA. SATA. Where's the bloody SATA cable? There we go.
Oh, David Underhill's got sun. What's that like?
The sun?
It's got sunny Australia.
G'day, mate. Right, so we're going to use this little power supply. This is a thermal take one. God bless your thermal take and all those that sail in you.
What happened to that other old crappy power supply?
I sold it. I don't know actually. What did I do with that old shitty power supply?
I don't know. I wanted to buy it.
Unless it is in the bottom of there somewhere. I don't think it is. Let's get a power lead.
Meticulous. I've got so used to having a USB-C port on the front of PCs these days though.
Yeah, having a USB-C port is kind of a nice thing to have. Although you can get a USB type A to C adapter, which will still let you plug these things in, but obviously there isn't going to be the same speed. Well, actually, there might be the same speeds, to be honest with you, because a lot of USB type C front panel connectors are repurposed USB 5.0, USB 5 gigabit per second.
Mookie says might as well have non-RGB fans and put an LCD screen where the front glass is.
So, there you go.
Delayed reaction on
Yeah.
the thing.
So the fans themselves are basically silent. And the look itself now, having said what I've previously said, I don't think it looks that bad. It's hard to see on the camera actually. Yeah, I think it still does need that metal cutting away. But the overall look, I think, is excellent. I really like it.
Looks like a Barbie house.
But there's not really any air. Like, at all. Like nothing. But then it is on the quiet level, I think. So, motherboard control, and let's go for...
Oh, Jason Wood's got to go to work last night as he's been laid off.
Oh, sorry to hear that. That's never a good thing, is it? David Underhill says the fans are silent, but the user bitching about them constantly isn't. Good one. I agree. Now now you can hear them. There's a little bit of noise to them, not a great deal. But still, they're not moving any air. The back one's doing a pretty decent job. And if I put them on the next speed level up. Is that full speed? Yes, that's with the fans on full speed. Let me get my anemometer. That was a big word, wasn't it? Where's my anemometer?
Mind those glass panels. Swinging that arm around.
What have we done with my anemometer?
There he is.
No, that was my sound one. Actually, that might be quite useful as well. For demonstration purposes. Right, let's get a noise reading of the fans.
Gonna hear a clank in a minute as your finger gets caught.
So 37.3 decibels, which actually isn't awful. But it is definitely audible. And let's do our wind test. Where's the arrow? That way. So I'm going to do that there. And it doesn't appear to have enough power to move the blades. Have they started moving? No. Right, let's put it there. Give it a fighting chance. I don't know, is that visible? No, you can't really see that, can you? Right, so that is basically directly in the oncoming airflow.
Can you blow through it as well after?
And tell you what, if I should have put the what do I want, min max, don't I? So maximum. So that is, actually I'll put it right next to there. So let's give it like a fighting chance.
And then do it with the front panel off.
And then we'll do it with the front panel off.
Top fan speed?
I don't know. The fan speed is somewhat of a mystery. I'm going to say 1200 maybe. Do you want to put, I can put the side on.
Oh, I've taken my hoodie off now. Just have to sling it over my head.
That's right. Ain't no one going to be seeing you. Oh. I like the fact they've done the they've made the top pin longer, so it's actually easier to get the side panel on. Can't put the back panel on for obvious reasons. So let's see what we've got. So where's the light?
The camera's making it go more than the fans
Yeah.
did.
So 1.5 miles an hour. That's pitiful.
Go on it, see how much you can get it to do.
I think Definitely going to break that glass. Right. And let's see what we get now. That's in exactly the same place. I can actually hear the fan spinning now in the little anemometer.
Can you put the light on, or?
Don't think I need to. So 3.8 miles per hour.
How much can you get blowing?
That's the wrong way. $12.3. So, yeah.
But you can only do one bar.
Medic!
MPH is metric, man go metric.
Right, do you want kmh? Does it do kmh? Units. Meters per second? Kilometers per hour. Let's do kilometers per hour. So let's do a reset, turn it back
might
on.
bring me in sick tomorrow.
Yeah.
How much can you get blown through your nose?
Not a lot. Now, also remember, this is literally with the anemometer about, I don't know, 2 inches maybe from the actual case, from the fan.
2 minutes.
2 minutes, 2 centimeters, 2 inches roughly, maybe 3. Not very far. So in kilometers an hour. Oh, I didn't press the bloody high button, did I? Stupid
How
arse.
much blowing out your butt?
Maximum. I do think if I'd had a lot of beans or pepperoni on my pizza, I may be able to.
Beans on a pizza.
Used to be a thing.
Did it?
Heinz even made a pizza
Oh, I think
with
they
baked
did.
beans on.
Turquoise. Vaguely remember it. I never had one. What would normally be measured airflow you'd expect?
Right. So that is 6.1. Words are hard. 6.1 kilometers per hour. Hopefully you can see that. So 6.1, and we'll put the front panel back on.
What would you imagine normal?
I don't know.
It's pointless.
Well, no, everything has a point. Right, let's do. How do I clear it? So let's turn it off, turn it back on again. Have we tried turning it back on and back off again? Let's go to max and see what we get now with the front panel on in kilometers per hour. Essentially what I'm saying is the airflow isn't great, which shouldn't be any surprise because literally there's a big sheet of glass in front of it. But it does look bloody good. And if you're doing a flip PC and someone come around to see it and you're like, yeah, these flap open, this does that, this does that. Unless they were actually looking at the temperatures of the PC, like if you put a Ryzen 5 3600 in here with like a 1660 Super or a 5700 or 6600 RX, I don't think it's going to cause you any issues. But if you're considering slightly more exotic parts or parts that generate a little bit of heat, I think this case is going to have trouble dealing with it, if I'm completely honest. Which is an absolute, like the primary, well, in my mind, the primary thing of a computer case is to hold the components safely and to allow them to stay within moderate temperature.
What's the airflow in the case behind you for airflow comparison?
Right, so that is 2.5 kilometers per hour. So let's, how do I reset this? That seems to have done it. Right, maximum. So let's put this right in front of one of my fans there. Now, to be fair, these are set to very quiet. These are at the moment are set at their maximum speed. So, yeah. But it'd be interesting to see actually how close it is. Let me close that side panel a minute. Sorry. These fans, like, they're not overly expensive. So these are the Thermaltake CT140s, which are basically the same size as this. And they're on one of their lowest settings. Like literally, you can stop them with your finger easily. And there you go. So that is 3.9 kilometers an hour. That's at their lowest setting. If we put them up onto their maximum setting, which will probably kill the stream, but so be it. Actually, while MSI Center cracks on a minute, I will grab a drink.
Freedom House says you can put a fan where those SSD trays are, which would help.
I think, to be honest with you, better fans would be the ideal. Just better fans would overcome a lot of the restrictions there, because those fans don't have any static pressure. But again, it's a £50 case. Right, where are we? System fan 1. Actually, where's system fan 1? Is that the top one or the bottom one?
Do you want another cup of tea?
Yes, please. Right, so they're ramping up now, so let's put this on to maximum and stick it there. And we'll close that.
Do you want a cup of tea, Flame?
I should have put it in the middle actually, it's a little bit offset, but we'll see what it gets. So I think that is that still climbing? It should top out around 1600 RPM, I think, those fans. That's not as much as I thought it would be actually. 8.2. Did I put that in the wrong place? Yeah, 8.6. Yeah, so it's not massively different, to be honest with you. Yeah, 8.6 kilometers per hour. If you can see that. But it does feel like it's moving a ton of air. And even if it's further back, like here, it still feels like it's moving a lot of air. Just checking it's working. Anyway, so there you go. It's 8.6 kilometers per hour against, what do we have in there? Like 3 point something? Or was it less than that? I can't remember. I'll set my fans up again now. You can feel the air pressure. That's something which is a lot of people overlook, is the actual air pressure as well. Having static air pressure, you can have all the RPMs under the world, you can move as much cubic centimeters of air that you like, but if you don't have the static pressure, then it's kind of pointless. So hopefully that gives you some idea of kind of what we're looking at here. It's a real shame. It really is a real shame that it does what it does. Now, that is with the fans in the best possible situation they can be in. So if I disconnect this briefly, actually I can probably do it with it on. We don't care. Oh, bloody hell. This thing gets harder to take off, I swear. Oh. Wow. That is quite scary. The fact that I pulled the front panel off then, and there was so much of a shockwave that the fan stopped spinning. Like, there's no...
That's there, so be careful.
Okay.
That's good, so you're not listening.
Put it there. Yeah, that is on...
Come on, Flame.
Just making sure this is on the fastest speed. Yeah, because that the lowest speed is stop. That's fan speed number 1. Which, to be fair, is moving a little bit of air. But it's not going to be enough, I don't think. But it is silent, so if you just want a PC to look nice and have a very light kind of breeze going on inside your case, then it is great.
Dave Aikens, I wish cases would stop using those horrible ring port components. Looks like a stuck-on afterthought.
It is one of, yeah, I do agree. I kind of like it in some respects, especially on this one, because it's silver and all the other kind of accent metal parts are silver, like the screws and everything like that. So I get it. And also it's probably the cheapest way of just sticking one of those on to actually make a door panel, or to make it work like how it should do.
Break out the electric PC duster, see how much that bad boy shifts.
To be honest with you, that is why my anemometer doesn't work as well as it should do. And it used to have, well, the anemometer, if you hear it, can you hear that? Where the bearings sound a little bit shot? That is because when Bob sent me the air duster, I tested to see how much it was putting out, and it broke this. And it went a bit haywire. The reading went off the scale, and the fans never sound right since, so...
Maybe that's completely out anyway. No?
Yeah, it basically burnt the bearings out.
We could do the Ionz wand.
You might be able to. Right, let's put that through there.
It's a nice looking case, like you said, it's a shame about the airflow.
Yeah, it is a nice looking case. If you were like judging a case purely on looks alone, then I think this has got to be ranking up there in terms of...
Or nay?
I don't know. I'm still undecided. Because again, airflow isn't the be all and end all. And I think the real kind of test of this would be to put in, like I said earlier, like put something like a 3600 Ryzen in there, a mid-range graphics card, like a, I don't know, 1060 or a 2060, 5700, that sort of thing. And then put it on Facebook and see how quickly it sells. Because ultimately, most people that are buying this sort of case are going to be OEMs and system builders. And they're buying this for it to attract a buyer. Because most computer companies don't really care too much about after-sales service. Once the PC's sold, it's kind of like, there, yeah, we've sold a PC, done and dusted, move on to the next customer. Which is kind of the way that the business world works, to be fair. And a lot of companies will be like that. Like, look at that. That is pitiful, isn't it? There's like no strength to these fans at all. Which is why, again, I would say if you are going to be considering picking up one of these, if you go with the one without the fans and without the controller, for I think it's £47, someone might have to correct me on that. If you were to put in a set of Arctic P12s, get the 5-pack of Arctic P12s, put 3 in the front, maybe 1 in the top, 1 in the back, arguably I think you'd have some pretty decent airflow. And I'm actually very tempted to buy those very same fans and actually try it to see what it's like. Although, again, it's like the RGB thing. A lot of people these days are expecting lots of RGB bling. So actually trying to find some fans with RGB and a little bit of airflow at a sensible price isn't easy. And actually seeing inside of this thing isn't easy either. I should turn this off really. Don't work on your PC when it's on, because it's not a good idea. Although saying that, I'm lucky that I'm not going to damage myself on the fan blades. I think this is one of the first times I've actually put my fingers into a fan blade and it's not been disastrous. I suppose that's a positive anyway. I suppose I should line up the front. What the hell, it'll be fine. Actually, there's no point in lining up the front anyway, is there? Because it doesn't really make any difference. I wish these... I tell you what, it's getting really muggy now. We are supposedly getting a thunderstorm at some point, but...
It might be by 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Yeah. They said it'll be thunder and rain from midday.
so far is somebody moving their wheelie
Yeah,
bin.
I heard someone move a wheelie bin.
I don't know why, because they're on strike.
That's probably why they moved it. If it well, no one's going to empty that bloody thing.
It's been there 4 weeks.
Yeah. Anybody else in the UK watching? Have there been people on strike? They're bin persons. Not allowed to call them bin men, are you now? Even though I've never seen a bin woman. Let me know in the comments. Have you seen a bin woman? I was going to say something else then, but I'm not gonna, because I'll get myself into trouble.
Ah, look. This is what it tries to trick me into doing. And you put, and then it goes, put in your thing, and you think it's because it's not looked at your face properly.
Alright.
So it tricks you into doing it that it will update in the middle of the night.
Nearly lost it. Ah!
Nearly had it. Ear off.
Let's hear it for the bin women. Right, I'm going to try it just out of morbid curiosity. Let's crank these things to the max. We'll maximum yet. And we'll put it in the same place as we did before. Now this actually should be slightly better because the fan is actually a little bit further away. So it might just be catching the kind of sweet spot of where the air pressure is. I thought, bloody hell, that's moving fast, but it's not. I can hear the rain coming down. Can you hear that?
Yeah, I can hear it.
That's coming down. So what have we got there? Now that was better, 5.4. I didn't press the hold button.
Poppy Dora's out in that.
Is she?
Yeah.
She's not for long. This actually could as well be beneficial because the slats which are coming down behind, so not only have you now got like a cone shape, so the fans are going like that, you've also then got slats which is then channeling it into like a vertical column almost. So that might actually be beneficial for actually getting the airflow through. But that is with the front panel off. And actually that was pretty good. That went up to 6.4. Oh, you can't see it, can you? Because I've still got that open. There we go. 6.4. See that? So 6.4 is actually quite impressive for what it is. And you can feel it, and even there you can actually feel it. So that actually is working better. Can you feel it? Monetization? I doubt it, that was so out of tune. Ow, I got static eyes then. Oh, why is this not... Come on. Oh my god. I'm not sure how many times this case has got as a warranty for how many times you can on and off the front panel. Right then, let's min, max, clear. We'll go to maximum again and we'll put it in the same position. Actually, I can tell it's completely different because you can't feel it there either now.
Right, Nick Barnes.
Go Nick Barnes.
Earlier you said it's an updraft case.
Yes.
So if mounted on PSU shroud, how good would the airflow be?
Much better. If you put fans on the PSU shroud, well, to be honest with you, I wouldn't put fans on the PSU shroud. What I would do in my own tiny little marble brain is I would put in a 360mm rad or 3 120mm fans in the top. Those would supplement the air pressure. So they're going to try and get the fans in the front to kind of pull in air, because those 3 fans on the top blowing out, they're basically going to be sucking in cold air or cooler air from basically any open area. Now the most open area is going to be the handle at the front. So you're going to get a little bit of air coming up through the front there. Some of that is going to hit the fan blades and go push through. The rest of it will just permeate through the case. So having a 360mm rad or just 3 160mm fans on the top would pretty much alleviate a lot of the problems. But they still make it like these front fans are kind of effectively just for decoration, which actually isn't a bad thing. but it's just like, just such a missed opportunity. If this had been mesh, it would be a different story altogether, but then I think it would look very different as well. So the look is kind of what sells it. If you have the radiator in the top, I think that is going to solve a lot of problems, personally. Where are we at here? So, oh yeah. So we're now at 2.5. And we're in kilometers an hour. So if we change that to miles per hour, yeah, 1.5 miles an hour, which is basically, is that where we were earlier, or was it 1.2? It was somewhere along those lines. So the front panel is clearly choking the system. And this is with it on full blast, the fans, which you probably wouldn't want them running at that. They're not noisy per se, but I don't think you'd want them running like that. So maybe on speed 2. They are still slightly audible.
Captain Robvius is off.
Cheers, Cap.
Miles or kilometers?
1.5 miles or 2 point whatever it was kilometers. So was it 2.8 kilometers, 1.5 miles? Like with the fans on speed 1, they are absolutely totally silent, but almost totally useless. But they do look nice, which is a real shame. And actually, with the just the plain white lighting on, it's actually kind of nice. But it's just such a shame that they've gone to like so much effort in some areas to try and make this like a really good case. But it just seems like they've failed in a pretty kind of important area. It could, like, ultimately it could be me. I'm just being a dick, and
until you build in it,
yeah,
tell, can you?
It's yeah. Until you've done a full build in one of these things, you never really know for sure. Airflow is definitely going to suffer. It's nature of the beast. Any case that's got a solid glass front panel with fans behind it, anyone who's built in one of these before will know exactly where I'm coming from with it. It's basically destined to be a hot box.
Fan below?
Yeah, there is room for a fan. If you put a fan below, there is mesh, and you will be able to pull air in there.
Has it got holes in the thing in the bottom?
Yeah, there's holes. There's plenty of ventilation and holes and stuff, so you can get air in there. But it's just in the default configuration, it's a bit of a silly design, I think, personally. But as I say in all the videos, what I think about it doesn't matter, what you think about it does. And that is ultimately true, because it doesn't really matter what I think. It's purely just my opinion. And you're well within your own rights to say, well, actually, Mike, I disagree with you. I think it looks bloody lovely. I like it a lot, and
but then
I'm happy.
For all money.
Yeah, if you look at the pros and the cons, and you look at how much it actually costs and how nice it looks. Obviously, if you like the look, then the money is kind of like, well, you would probably pay more if you had to, because you like the look of it, which is the way things work. But for me, like, not only am I doing this because it's kind of my job, I'm doing it because I actually enjoy doing it, and I like to find cases which work really well. And again, a lot of you have come to this channel because of that exact reason. Like some of the cases we found, like some of the Ionz, the KZ-12, KZ-24, KZ-02, the F15 mesh, many others which have been really good cases. The Landcool 216, the Landcool 215, many other cases. That Series 500, for example. All these kinds of cases that probably you may have come across the channel because of. And yeah, it's just that it's something which I'm quite passionate about.
What have you came for the kittens?
Oh, hold on, Bob. Bob came for the kittens. He would. Just to be awkward. Bless your heart. but they have done so many things absolutely bang on with this case. I think that's why it annoys me so much, because they've done
for a caravan.
they've done a really, really good job, like an insanely good job on this case.
Colin Hilton said,
yeah,
nice fan oven for a caravan.
It could be. To be honest, it probably isn't going to be a hot box. It's probably me just being overly kind of pessimistic about it. And I think it's just based on previous history. But like Kath said earlier, and like I'll say again, and others have said, yeah, until you actually do a build in it, you don't really know.
I don't think they've said that.
Like this bit lit up at the bottom, I think it's actually kind of cool. It's a shame that the fan stickers aren't put on the right way. They're like wobbling around like crazy. But yeah, I think it's definitely an interesting look, and it's just a shame that it just wasn't executed just slightly better. It's by no means a trash case, and I still like it, and I would probably, if I was given a list of cases that I could buy for the money, I think this is probably going to be on the list of like, well, this has to be a definite consideration, yeah. Like if you think of what it's competing with or trying to compete with in its own price class, like what other cases there on the market at the moment for around about £50, which even comes really that close to it with this type of design. Funny enough, there is another case at the moment from Ionz, which is the kind of fish tank style case. I can't remember the actual model name of that, but there's one they're doing at the moment, which I think isn't a desperately different price, but has the potential to be a real winner against things like the Lian Li 011 Dynamic and things like the Techwear VXR, the GameMax, what was it, S360 or whatever it's called. There's a lot of cases on the market. No, Deep Space was that was just an insane case. Deep Space. It was a Deep. It might be a Deep Space actually. I'm losing track of names now. If I lose track of a name for a case, that's always a bad sign. I'm going to put that one back in there.
What, that you're getting old?
No, that it's if I. Cheers, David. I should have asked actually. I haven't asked yet. Can you go and punch our son, please?
I don't like just yell.
You can yell if you want. He's so noisy.
George. George. Be quiet. Oh yeah. He's not too bad.
Nah, bless him. I think this cable management is the cable management bar. I'm still not entirely sure how I feel about it. And it's almost like I wish they'd have not maybe add both of those GPU mounts and give us a couple of extra wiring grommets.
Stuart Cleary, I was late joining tonight, so does the glass front make a big difference to the temps? I'm also half pissed.
Yes, a huge difference.
And Ugly Bob says, don't make a cat piss in his PC again.
So there we go. That is the KZ-V, the case that so nearly could have been an absolute dream of a case. And I'm looking at those fans now, and I've not put them in the right places. Let's make them pink for a start, because pinks or purple is kind of nice. That's why I didn't do it before. I killed myself. Because the fans are really hard to get to. The screws, once you put the that bracket back in. Oh, that's gone back too late.
Maybe Bob might not be the cat this time.
Yeah.
Hey kids, what's behind the square window?
2 fans, unfortunately.
No, you.
Oh.
That's the rectangle window.
The rectangular. Right then, so is there any further questions regarding this case?
Looked at any questions?
I can't see the questions because there's a bloody great white box in front of my face. It comes with cable ties, if that was one of the questions.
Thermal tape S100 Snow Edition is $84 Australia, £49.
What's that, the S100?
Yeah.
I like the S100. Yeah, the S100 is a really nice little micro ATX chassis from Thermaltake. It's got a solid front panel on it, ventilation down the side.
Very quickly, David Aikens off, but before I shoot, I have a Game Max mesh box coming on Monday. Do you want to check it out?
Oh, Game Max mesh box. What?
It's got movie evening, so don't be too long.
Yeah, sounds great. Which one is it? I have done the. If it's the Game Max icon, I've already done it.
He says mesh box.
Mesh box. I'll have to have a look at that. I'm intrigued. And I've forgotten to put screws in.
Sorry, go back on about your S100.
Yeah, the Thermaltake S100 is a lovely little case. I had the I think we had the S300 on here for review a little while back. And I did the kind of the Batmobile PC in it. Very dark and very atmospheric. It was really nice. And I was going to try and ask Thermaltake for an S100 for review. But micro ATX boards at the point are kind of far and few between. But now it seems that there's some half decent AM5, AM4 boards coming on. There's some half decent micro ATX AM5 boards coming onto the market. So it might be time to have another look at some micro ATX cases. With all micro ATX cases, there's always a downside. And the downside is the fact if you put too big a graphics card in there, it's going to be too close to the bottom. So your graphics card's going to suffer. So if you're basically a full-on gamer, getting a micro ATX case is generally a bad idea. And depending on the layout of the PCI Express slots, sometimes they'll put the M.2 above it, in which case that brings the slot even lower and brings the whole graphics card down even lower again. So you do need to kind of look at it, and you ideally want to have one which has got PCI Express slot first, then your M.2 underneath. But it's really rare because they try to always get the M.2 as close to the CPU as possible for the best transmission for the M.2 speeds. So yeah, micro ATX is one of those things where it is kind of fraught with potential limitations, or at least thermal consideration needs to be taken into account, definitely. And having something like this where you've got a full mesh bottom is going to be more helpful, because at least then if it's not a solid plate, if there's heat from the graphics card kind of radiating and airflow and what have you, it's basically going to be better.
Fans on bottom.
Well, no, because that's the thing. If you've got a micro ATX, because the card is.
On that case.
Oh yeah, you could do if you wanted to. There is space for it, but then your power supply is going to be there, and your hard drives are there. So only one of the fans really is going to have a clear run.
Clear run. Dave Aiken says it's called the mesh box. Basically, a Johnsbow D941 mesh with no side glass.
Ah, interesting. Yeah, that'd be great. I have got some. They are sending me something. I will double check my emails, or actually, Kath, you can check on Facebook Messenger from.
I can't get into Facebook.
Ah, okay.
Because ShopSmart is like a different section now.
I'll have to check. I think.
Maybe I can. Who's it from? Game Max.
It'll be Game Max UK. I think yeah. I'll say yeah. We'll like to have a look at that. I think, regardless, even if it is one of being sent anyway. Oh. Alright, let's put that away. I don't think there's any other questions. Who's that? Glenn said I retired my S300 recently. I sent you that S300, didn't I? Did I send you that? I'm pretty sure you bought that. Glenn's been actually very good over the years of, if I've had a surplus of cases that I needed to shift, Glenn's generally been there ready to stick them in something or create something. Let's grab my cup of tea and hopefully it's cool enough to drink. Oh, that's better. Alright, let's get this thing off my desk.
Am I allowed to say what?
What case it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Black Infinity.
Ah, right, it's the GameMax Black Infinity. So, no, the mesh box, no. I haven't got that coming, so yeah, that'll be great. Check out old Dave Aiken, mind building PCs. When he says on his Discord, I am easily tempted by PC stuff, don't tempt me. And I think here comes a soggy Poppy, or she's trying to come in. Oh, she's soaked.
Are you soaking wet? Are you really wet?
Hello. Oh, she is soaking wet.
It's okay.
Hi, Pops.
You helping Grampy? Don't jump in there, that's a big box for a little wet girl.
Yes.
You okay?
Which way up does this go? Oh, well, it goes that way up now. Oh. Right, Pops. Oh, look at your wet, mucky pools, you bastard.
Oh, did she get really wet?
So yeah, Glenn's retired his S300.
Do you want a towel?
David, alright, yeah, the mesh box. I think actually a mesh version of the Ionz D41 might actually be better. I'm not too sure about not having a glass on all of it, but maybe, yeah, the one thing I didn't like about the D41 is the fact you've got that kind of cable management bar, which is a little bit of a noise. Glenn says, you sent me the S300 and the S100. Did I? Have I done a review of the S100? I don't think I did. Maybe I did. Yeah, Maisie puts herself to bed. She gets into our bed. She sits on our bed. She didn't get in our bed. She tried to.
It's like, no, it's too hot.
I've got so many things on the back burner at the moment. It's been ridiculous. This week has been one of those weeks where I've been really trying to play catch up and trying to get things done, which I've been either A, putting off, or B, just... There's been so many traumatic things going on recently. It's just been an absolute pain. But I think... Ooh, motion detected by the front door. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen.
It's probably the rain.
Oh, it's a mott. There's a mott. I know it says on the IMU thing that it should be animal detection, but a moth, really? I think it's because where the camera is, the infrared light hits this moth, and if the moth gets close enough, it kind of takes up a large percentage of the screen. So it's like, oh, big thing, but it's not. It's a tiny thing. It's just perspective.
Hello?
Mike, did you get anything good from Amazon sales? Yes, I picked up a 1TB SSD, a M.2 SSD. No, not sorry, an M.2. Strike that. That was something else I bought. I bought a SATA SSD, 1TB Kingston A400 for $19.99. No, was it $19.99? It was some absolutely ridiculous price, maybe 22 quid I think it might have been actually. But it's not due for a week or so. So that may or may not actually turn up. But that was bloody great. What else did I buy? I should have to have a look. I will consult my my Amazon list. There wasn't anything really cool this year that I found really. We
got some new.
Bought some bath sheets.
But they weren't in a sale.
They're just from the warehouse. They've only been used by a couple of people, so that's fine.
But we washed them today, and they dyed everything.
Yeah,
the same colour.
We've got grey towels, and it said not suggested for washing with other non-coloured fabrics.
So I thought I'd test how colour fast they were with a hair turban.
And it come out exactly the same colour as the towels.
So now it matches, so I'm quite happy.
Yeah, matching bath towel and hair thing.
But how much dye they must have on them.
Right, orders. What have I got? What is that? I don't know what that is. Order it?
Yeah, probably.
It must be something you've ordered.
What's that?
I don't know what it is.
Where from?
Can't even tell. On Amazon. 2 of them. Dispatched. But it doesn't say what it is. Oh yeah, supplements. That's right. Don't worry. What else did I get? Towels. That. Oh, bought some RAM for a hard...
Fix or fail?
A fix or fail video. That's been done this week. So bought some RAM. 8 gigs of DDR3. And also bought a NETAC drive for that as well. That was a pretty good bargain. The A400 drive, which I've ordered. I'm trying to find where the price is on here. Didn't say. Ordered Tuesday. I can't see buy again. Order info. Oh, I don't want to change this order. Oh, actually, order info. Change the order. So yeah, that was a deal of the day, and that was. It says, because I paid with Amazon vouchers, it doesn't come at the right price. Ah, there it is. It was. That looks like £12.99. So yeah, £16.16 plus VAT, which was £19.39. Then there was a promotion applied, which was £5.33, and I paid £12.99 of gift certificates. So if that turns up, actually that was a 480, not a 1 terabyte. Sorry, my mistake. 480. Sorry, yes, a 480 gig drive for £12.99. So I'm not expecting that to actually turn up. If it does, great. If it doesn't, yeah, whatever. What else did I get? I think that was pretty much it. Yeah, that was it. Didn't buy anything else. Was it me, or was Amazon Prime rubbish? I thought, yeah, Amazon normally, the Prime Day is kind of, there's some decent deals, but I don't think there was anything really. The hard drives, SSDs, they're kind of always up and down on the different prices. You might get the occasional one where it's like a loony tick price. But yeah, it wasn't really good. I was looking for a graphics card. I really wanted to get a graphics card, probably a 6000 series Ryzen card, Radeon card, sorry. That would have been what I'd have wanted. Ideally, I think either probably a 6800. I think that's probably, in terms of bang for buck at the moment, I think the 6800 16 gig at round about £430 is pretty much the sweet spot in terms of mid to high end graphics cards. And also that one, it's weird because it uses 3 sockets or 3 power plugs, but it still like is really efficient in terms of actual power wattage. So I think that would have been the way to go. If there would have been any RTX 4070s on offer, I might have been tempted to take a look. Although, breaking news, MSI have agreed to send me an RTX 4070 for review. Now I was up and down. They actually offered me 2. They offered me RTX 4060 Ti and also a 4070. So would you like to take both to take a look at? And I was kind of and ahhing. And I know that there's a feeling of kind of negativity towards Nvidia for the absolute right reasons, because these things are ridiculously priced. But having said that, of the two cards, between a 4060 Ti and a 4070, the 4070 makes more sense if it wasn't for the price. Other than the price, is actually it's a decent card. It's just the wrong price, possibly with the wrong badge on it. But in terms of what it actually is, it's actually a reasonable card, and the power efficiency on it is insane. So I agreed to take a look at that. The reason being, I don't want to look at it purely from a gaming perspective, although that will be a consideration, but also for kind of content creators or people that actually want to help save electricity, because it is an extremely efficient graphics card. It is extremely expensive to pay for, but it is extremely power efficient. And obviously with power efficiency comes lower temperatures, etc, etc. So it's all part of a kind of, there is a niche market for these type of cards at the moment. The mainstream isn't particularly interested in them, because why would you buy a 4070 unless you are a content creator or you want to save electricity? But there are quite a few content creators out there who also play some games. So yeah, I'm going to take a look at it, see what it's all about. I can't guarantee it's going to be a positive review, and I can't say it's going to be a negative review, because honestly, until I've used it for myself in my own home for my own purposes, I can't say yes, it's a rip-off, or B, it's pointless, or whatever. I can't say any of that because I have not used it. It's very easy to get kind of drawn into the whole thing of like, I've watched umpteen reviews and they've all said, yes, it's rubbish, too expensive, blah, 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 blah. Should be a 4060, etc, etc. But until I've used it for myself, I don't know. So I'll be doing that coming up soon. That should be arriving, I think, Monday or Tuesday. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to that, because at the moment, I'm still using the Intel A770 ARC, which is fine, it's good, it gets the job done for what I need to do. And in certain instances, especially using H.264 encoding and decoding, it's an absolute legend. It rips through stuff. And in a lot of games, actually, it's very enjoyable. So yeah, it's a good time for me to see what the difference would be. But then there's a ridiculous price discrepancy between the two cards. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one for sure. Lucky Man says 4070, 200 watt max temp. 200 watt max temp 56C. I'm happy. See, I think that is what it's all about, isn't it? If you're happy with what you've got, is it a good price? Is it a bad price? Does it make a difference if you're happy and if it does what you need it to do? I think that is where the real thing is coming from it. Nick Barnes says, Mike, do you think the negative point of view is because the 3000 series cards were a big step up from 2000 GPUs in the main? Yeah, I think the whole negativity is the fact that the expectation is for a new product in the same category or segment or model reference number. You should, in theory, see at least a kind of 20 to 25% improvement in speed for the same cost, or even less. But we've been, again, like I've said before, we're in that kind of perfect storm where everything before it has been ridiculously expensive, and it's now that all those costs are accumulating across the board. So everything is getting more expensive. So it's very easy to look at a product and say, yes, 4060 Ti, worse than a 3060 Ti in general. Same price, similar price, possibly slightly more expensive. Or at least same price when it came out, higher price now, because obviously other stock's gone down in price. So in terms of that, yes, it's a bad product, but all things being equal and inflation being, what, 20% or whatever it is, if you add on 20% inflation to a 3060 Ti, it's a pretty decent deal. But realistically, in the real world, you don't do that. So I'm not defending Nvidia, and I'm not defending the pricing structures or anything, but there's a lot more to it than simply what something costs then, what something costs now. Are we being ripped off? There's other things in there which kind of jump in. Nvidia aren't our friends. Let's be completely upfront and real about this.
I don't think many companies are, to be honest.
No company is. None of them are your friend. None of them are there to help you have a better day. They're all there with the sole intention of making money for their shareholders. That's what it comes down to. And if they can squeeze the market, they will squeeze and squeeze and squeeze until the market either goes pop or something else happens and people turn around in droves or not buying cards, which appears that is what's happening. They put the squeeze on us in terms of pricing, etc. So we're getting what is apparently a bad deal, which it does seem like on paper. If you look like for like, yes, we are getting a bad deal. Whether or not it's wholly down to them being greedy or other marketing factors, I don't know. And truthfully, unless you're in the marketing room with the CEOs making those decisions, you're not in a position to make a judgment one way or the other. You can have an opinion, but unless you're there, hearing it come from the horse's mouth, so to speak, you're just speculating, which is what we all do. We will speculate. We're getting ripped off for this. Well, we might be, but there might be other reasons behind it, which we are yet to find out or yet to be made clear. You don't know.
Did you see that one, Dean?
Dean. Don't think so. Add mods is in the case. In the house, sorry.
In the case.
In the case. Add mods. 4060, 4060i, waste of time, no need for them. Add mods is a good friend of the channel. I'm not sure if I should say who he's from, but I don't think he'd mind me saying that he is from Thermaltake UK. In fact, the head of marketing for Thermaltake UK, so welcome. And look forward to receiving some goodies. And as you can see, I'm being good. I've got the power supply out. Now, I will say, Adam's in the chat so he can verify this. He has not asked me to pimp this power supply out whenever possible. I'll just do it because I like it and it's cool. And it's very small. And now I'm going to put it away. Dean. I didn't see what Dean's question was. Talking of Thermaltake as well, next week we have got coming into the channel the Series 300. This one's smaller little brother. So I'm actually quite looking forward to seeing what that's all about. I'm looking for Dean's question. Dean. Hello Mike, I'm in the UK. I commiserate. And I wanted to build a PC for around a max £1,200. I game at 1440p. Could you recommend me a build, please? Would you recommend a build with an RX 6700 XT or better? Great channel, by the way. Thank you very much, Dean. Much appreciated. I would say your best thing to do is to go to our Discord if you possibly can. Go in there and in the PC build section, you can put in your bits and pieces, what you want, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve. And yeah, definitely we can knock up some PC part picker lists for you. No doubt they will include Thermaltake power supplies and Thermaltake cases. And affiliate links. Cheers, Adam, and affiliate links. No, in all seriousness, yeah, we'll get you a decent bang for your buck system. £1,200 sounds like a lot, but with graphics card prices as they are, it's... If you think of RTX 4070, a decent one, you're going to be looking at best part of £600. So it doesn't give you a great deal to play with on the other side of it. But yeah, 1440p, you could do a lot worse than going with an RX 6800. At the moment on Amazon, the MSI Trio X or Trio Z, I forget which one it is, £439.99. I'm very tempted to get one of those to replace mine, which is currently being R-made. So yeah, I think that's a good card. And I would be, if you're looking at 1440p gaming, you don't need to spend that much, but if you've got 1,200 quid, spending sort of £400 plus on the graphics card is kind of where you'd want to be really, to have a nice balanced system. Or you could go just balls to the wall, sod it, get some really other slightly cheaper components in there and go out on an RTX 4070. I don't think you'd get a 4080 in there, in that budget. I think you'd struggle. But maybe, we'll take a look. Hopefully that answers some of your question. Realistically, it's something we're going to have to take some time and deliberate over, possibly on the Discord if you can, if you've got access. Caf has put a link there. Awesome. David Underhill, Mike's Unboxing and Shield channel. Right on. Shilling is the future. Adam said I can say. Excellent. Oh, Adam, I've done the review. Oh, actually, it's already boxed up, isn't it? I've done the Platinum Tough Power Platinum PF3 1050 watt review. God, that's hard work. I've been saying it all day. Actually, no, not all day. Did I do it today or yesterday?
You did that yesterday.
I'm losing track of days. It's Poppy. How old's that?
Oh, I swear you changed
Jesus.
it, but my windows don't work when I go into a different tab. And it gets behind. That was today's.
Everyone's there saying they take a 7900 XTX over the 4080. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, Adam says yesterday.
That was when it was sent, I suppose. So that was when.
Oh yeah, yeah. You
it
sent it yesterday. I literally took it out of the box, done some quick research, did the video, done and dusted. David Aikens says, if your game supports DLSS 3, then it could be a good move. David Underhill saying 20% inflation. What the F? Only 7% here in Oz. Yeah, we're officially, if you look to our government and look at their inflation. That's pretty cool. If you look at the official inflation figures, they are saying we're at somewhere like 10%. But that is the one that excludes food and fuel. If you take into account food and fuel, it's probably closer to 25%, because I think those food and fuel, or fuel's down a little bit, but food is up. So I think food is up to somewhere near 20%. It's insane. So yeah, a lot of countries are saying, oh, there's 10% inflation or whatever, but it's not, because they're splitting down the inflationary figures, which is bizarre.
£5.50 for 12 cans of cat food, wasn't it? And now it's £5.50 for 6.
Yeah.
So that's almost doubled.
It is, it's mad.
It is doubled.
Stuart Cleary says, we are being ripped off. So are we being ripped off? Haha, yes we are. The rich will never be satisfied. Well, the rich don't stay rich by not taking what they can. Tony Escalante says, what do you think of DLS 3 versus 2? Have a 3090 Ti and don't want to upgrade to a 4090 with the plug problem. Firstly, I'm going to say I think the plug problem is potentially more overblown than it necessarily needs to be. If you're careful and you put your plugs in and they're socketed correctly and you keep an eye on your system and every now and then just check them that they're all right, then I don't think it's a huge issue. I've been looking, actually yesterday and today, I've been looking very closely at the plugs on the Thermaltake power supplies, and I honestly can't see how people are doing it wrong. They're like really solid, but it is what it is. Stuart Cleary's got us a €10 super chat there. Thank you very much, sir. It says, "'Cause you're the man."
Aww.
Thank you. And next year I'll be having a sex change and I'll be the woman. It's ma'am. I won't be. Darren says, get yourself a soldering iron.
Oh God, don't start him off.
The soldering thing is still a work in progress. That is, we're moving on that. I'm like the whack-a-mole at the moment. So it's like stuff's coming in left, right, and centre, and it's like fighting fire. It seems like at the moment. But I'm trying to get lots of things done in a shortish time.
And luckily, the weather's on our side.
Yeah. Fortunately, this week has been absolutely persisting down, so it's kind of like, well, there's no time to go in the garden and do anything anyway, so might as well just knuckle down and get on and do some bits and pieces. Adam's switched accounts there. There are Thermaltake UK.
Did we get 2 likes now?
Mr. Adam. Yeah, do we get 2 likes now? One from your AdMods account and one from your Thermaltake one. Some of you showing love for Thermaltake in the chat. That's very kind of you. To be fair, I do like Thermaltake stuff. Now, it's not the cheapest, so I'm in a somewhat privileged position that they send stuff to me. but it is good gear. And actually, how long have you known this PC to be the same case? It doesn't happen often. Normally it gets changed every, well, quite excessively, depending on what the next review is. So yes, the Series 300 should be coming in the next week or so, I think it is. Adam can clarify that, so that'll be coming through. I'm not too sure how I feel about the Series 300, because you're limited to a 280mm rad on the top, and I do like my 360mm rad placements in the top section, but it is more compact, so it is that kind of swings and roundabouts thing. Although I am starting to come around to the idea of air cooling more, especially now that Thermaltake are doing the fans they do, the CT series, which ironically are their cheapest fans.
Wednesday delivery.
I really like them. Wednesday delivery, awesome stuff. Where else are we? Ugly Bob says, got Thermaltake fans in my case and they're doing a grand job.
Nick Barnes, where is the display from the case behind you?
Nick Barnes, where's the display?
Yeah, you had the display.
Oh, I took it out because the Series 300 I thought was coming quicker than it should. So I was taking that display out because hopefully Adam sent me the white version of the Series 300. I haven't asked actually. I don't think he even mentioned it. Did we? I don't know. We may have had this conversation already. But I thought, well, I'll take out the box from there so I can put it into the other one when I'm ready to do the review. David Under says, Mike is a Thermaltake fanboy. I am actually, between Thermaltake, MSI, and probably, I don't know, there's a few others. Silicon Power, I'm quite a big fanboy of Silicon Power drives. Quite like their stuff. Sorry, just reading the chat there. Oh, Q-Link fanboy as well, yeah. Q-Link fanboy.
Don't mind chat over.
Always got that.
Poppy loves my Q-Link. She nuggles the rope every night.
Mick Woods, CT140 fans, love them. Andy Archer saying, when are you getting a 4060, Mike? To be honest with you, the 4060 12, is it a 12 gig or is it 16 gig that they're going to be doing potentially? If there is a 4060 12 gig, I would potentially be looking at getting that, I think. Because I think at that point, if it's at the right price, it's going to have enough of a memory bandwidth to cope with the kind of level of gaming it's supposed to be at. And for the games that it hasn't got the bandwidth for, you should be able to use DLSS or FSR. So I think the 4060 being the lower class card anyway, in theory, if they do a version like the 3060 12 gig is actually a pretty decent card and kind of trades blows with the TI in some instances. So if they do an upgraded version of the 4060, I think it'd be worth taking a look at if the prices come down a little bit. I think that is something which is the kind of the real sting in the tail. It's going to get to the point where there aren't going to be any there's not going to be any 3000 series cards or 6000 series cards on the market from Nvidia or AMD. Words are hard tonight. From AMD or Nvidia. So we are going to get to the point where the prices are going to the demand is going to artificially increase the price for the 3000 series closer to the 4000 series as that starts coming down, as it's not selling and standing around on shelves. So there is going to become a crossover point when people will be going for the 4000 series over the 3000 series, either out of cost or of necessity because of stock availability. So it is going to happen. It's not ideal, but it is kind of the way things are going to be going. But I think the 4060 with a little bit of extra RAM in there would potentially be a winner because it's going to be super low power. It's going to generate basically no heat and isn't going to need, well, yeah, it shouldn't take up much space. So for like smaller micro ATX builds or ITX builds, it's going to be absolutely great. Tristan G says, I'm not interested in the 4000 series cards, downgrade in my opinion, get a 6700 XT instead. That's, yeah, exactly, but they are going to get to the point where the stock isn't available, or the prices start to rise due to the lack of stock, which I can quite easily see happening. I can't see the 6800 getting any cheaper. That is bottomed out, I think, at about 430, 440.
Adam sent the black one.
Adam sent a black one.
No, he didn't. He sent snow.
That's right. I was just saying, oh, bastard. I'll put the thing back in now. I was just thinking that. Yeah, the snow ones are easier to review because you can see them inside. Black cases are really hard to review. Thank you, Adam. Tony Escalante, what's your favourite custom loop gear? I am currently running Corsair on my 3090 Ti Founders. They didn't have many choices. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I would actually, well, Adam and I had brief conversations about it at some point, getting together and doing a custom loop video, either as a collaboration or as a review, or I'm not sure, whatever. And
as well as the soldering.
Yeah, it hopefully will be better than my soldering. But yeah, I think I would like to try out. The thing is, my problem with custom cooling is it's very cool, it's very niche, it looks amazing, but it costs an absolute fortune. So there is a very, very limited niche group of people that can actually afford it and can actually buy it, because the availability isn't great across the world. So yeah, it's one of those things I would genuinely love to do, and use the Thermaltake stuff in combination with all the other stuff that we've got Thermaltake, and do like a complete rig of it. But you look at the pricing, it's absolutely terrifying. I think if you're a bloke of a certain age, maybe you're getting to that special birthday, maybe like your 30th, your 40th, or etc, etc, or your divorce has just come through or whatever, awesome, get yourself a water cooling kit and celebrate. But I think for most people, especially now with the kind of the cost of living being a little bit more than it was, and for some people genuinely struggling, which is a thing. So I think water cooling now is more of a niche than it was, and also slightly one of those, I dare say, almost resentful things. Because when people are struggling in general across the board, when people are spending like lots and lots of money on stuff like that, it feels almost like a kick in the teeth for the people that can't afford it, or just can't afford to eat. So it's a very, as a reviewer and as someone who makes YouTube content, it's really hard to get any products which are kind of relatively high end and be over enthusiastic about them, because you kind of got to think about the broader scheme of things. People are genuinely struggling across the world. It's a thing, and we feel it ourselves. We're not immune to it by any means. So yeah, when things are tough, or tougher in general, it's a lot harder to do that sort of stuff. So I think that's why I've kind of steered away from a custom loop at present. Although certainly that could change, but we'll see. I don't know if I've explained that particularly well. Hopefully you understand where I'm coming from with that.
Craig Gaming.
Darren says, get your paint stripper out and bend them pipes. Yeah, it does. It's like, for me, I love tinkering with PCs. And I think if you've got a custom loop, it's one of those things that you're always going to be messing around with and refining and changing your layout, changing your pipes, doing different bends and that kind of stuff. And it's cool. It's a hobby as well. So it's not like just throwing money into a big pit. You're getting some enjoyment out of it, and you're actually learning some genuine kind of skills. But yeah, still is a little bit kind of when you can buy a sort of £40 to £50 CPU cooler, which comes within sort of 95% of most setups, it's a bitter pill to swallow. For like, if you went for a decent custom loop, excluding a GPU jacket, you're probably looking about 400 or more, maybe 400 to 600. Depending on how many bends and how many fittings and stuff you need. So it's quite an expensive thing to do. Craig Gaming. Where is Craig Gaming? I can't see Craig Gaming.
Not far from the bottom.
Oh, there we go. I've got the Ryzen 5 5600G. Great processor. 32 gigs of RAM, no graphics card. Is it worth installing FSR 2.0? Yes, I think so. I think FSR is installed as the default and it's kind of more baked into games. So, yeah, I gotta be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure. Most of the time, the scaling technology is built into the driver and also the game you're playing. So if you go into like Far Cry 6, there's an option for FSR or scaling or whatever. But yeah, definitely using scaling is a very good way of getting more performance out of your graphics card. You do lose some graphical fidelity though, I would say for sure. But yeah, definitely worth doing. Or, to be honest with you, if you can muster up like 50 quid, which isn't a lot in the grand scheme of things for computing, you can get yourself an RX 580 8 gig and you'll have an absolute blast of it. And you don't have to worry about FSR. It'll work fine with PCI Express Gen 3. Perfect solution. Stick that in, get them off AliExpress. Ugly Bob sent one into the channel, which we reviewed. I think the video went out. I don't think it's out yet. It's out to patrons and members, possibly. But yeah, 50 quid. The most fun I've had for 50 quid in a long time. It was absolutely great. So that would be my my suggestion. Don't worry too much about FSR and all those kinds of things. Buy a decent little graphics card. Be absolutely perfect for that system. Run really well with it. And yeah, it'll be a definite night and day experience in terms of what you're going to get out of the system. David Underhill says, I agree about water cooling custom loops. Jay's 2 cents rabbiting on about custom loops and $30 connectors and $500 reservoirs, where most of us have to save up for a $40 cooler. Yes, I agree 100%. It is, from Jay's point of view, I can completely understand where he's coming from, because a lot of that stuff he gets sent to him, so he's got stock of it. And it's a big channel, so he's obviously going to get things sent to him to try out. And it's going to be high-end stuff, especially when it comes to water cooling. So I can see why there's that kind of disconnect, because he has a genuine passion for it. He gets his stuff sent through. He wants to do a build with it. He's got the equipment. He's got the facilities to do it. So it makes a lot of sense for him to do it. But at the same time, there does then become that kind of divide between us, or people aspiring to own that stuff, and feeling kind of like disjointed from it.
No, it's not gone out. Oh yeah, it's gone out to Patreon, that video, the graphics card.
Darren says it could leak, Mike. It could. Especially if I do it.
Especially if he does it like as well as soldering.
Tony says about 1,000 for mine, so I know what you mean. Just the loop, yeah.
That's dollars though.
It's a lot of money. Lucky Man says 480 for mine. And no GPU water plate as it runs cool. Yeah, that is the benefit of a 40 series card, so you don't really need to water cool them. There's not a great deal of point. But yeah, 500 quid for a loop. When you consider today, I sold a PC with a pretty high-end CPU in it for 560. So yeah, a whole PC for like less than £100 more than what the loop cost is mad, isn't it? But if you enjoy it, why the hell not?
Craig Gaming's got the RX 580 in
cool.
their cart on AliExpress.
Yeah, the 580s are awesome.
It's been there for about a month.
Right. Craig Gaming, yeah, the RX 580 in my cart on AliExpress, been there for about a month. At the moment, it should be about £43 plus taxes. Excuse me. Ugly Bob says, got one myself too. Got it in a backup computer. It runs like an absolute treat. They do run really well. I actually sold the PC that had my RX 5700 8 gig in there today. And I was running some benchmarks on that thing just before it went out. And it still blew my mind how well that thing run. Like for £100 for the graphics card, well, I think I paid 94 or 96. with the taxes. And yeah, it was ploughing through Unigine Heaven, and it was doing about, I don't know, 60 degrees Celsius, 57 degrees Celsius, and it's like, yeah, that's a banging card. Done really well. I did actually repaste it as well with the thermal paste that I think was sent by... I gotta try and think who sent this now. I'm pretty sure it was Rick H, who sent the Noctua NTH2 paste that come with the wipes as well. So I have actually been using that this week.
Was it Rick or was that Thermal Grizzly?
I think it was Rick. Was it Rick? If I'm getting that wrong, I do apologise. It might have been Patrick LaBelle, possibly. Can't remember. It was a while back, so you have to excuse my memory.
We need to write it down, I think.
We should do.
But then you wouldn't never...
I'll have a long list. I'd never refer to it. Where are we? Craig Gaming says there's one for £49.95 with taxes. It comes to £59.95. I think 60 quid is still not bad. There is actually one local, Dave Aitken, who actually lives relatively local to us, pointed out there is a RX 480, the blower style card, locally for about £50. And if I could put a cheeky offer in for maybe 40, that might be worth taking a look at after all these years. Rick H, it was me. Thank you. I thought it was. My memory is pretty good. I struggle with words, but my memory is pretty good sometimes. Not always. Hi Firestorm. Have you got a link for the 580? Yeah, Kath's going to do that now. And I should say, bless you Bob. Ugly Bob. Did I say that Ugly Bob sent that? Did I?
I think you did, because he put
oh, yeah.
one for himself.
Thank you, Bob.
Well.
Much appreciated. I've actually got it down here somewhere. Where is it? It's in my to-do pile. Funny enough, after doing the couple of videos on Elsa cards, I noticed young Linus of the Tech Tips variety did a video on the NVIDIA versions of these this week, which is quite. I was kind of wanting to jump up and down a little bit because he was saying some things on there which were like kind of stupid, because most of these things on AliExpress, they say they're refurbished or they will show signs of use. And like, to be honest with you, look at that. It's immaculate, essentially. Now, they did say that you may find some markings on the gold fingers on there where it's been inserted for testing purposes. But like, if you bought a graphics card and just there's some scratches on the golden fingers, really? Like, what world do you live in where you're upset about scratches on the golden things on there?
It says 404 error.
Ridiculous. Calf, you're rubbish.
Well, you put the link in.
They might have taken it down. It might have expired. But anyway, this is a great little card, and it runs actually surprisingly cool. And I'm glad to see that it's got the 8-pin connector rather than the 6-pin. I hate having 2 straggling wires. Come on.
Can Ugly Bob help?
Ugly Bob, post the link, please, if you got it. Did I do it? Yeah, I repasted this as well. So
if you're not too drunk.
I'm going to repaste, I'm going to retest this now after I've repasted it with the Noctua thermal compound to see how well it does. But yeah, £50 or whatever it was Bob paid. I think it was about £50.
Ali says Ali is playing up.
Absolutely awesome.
Wasn't able to log in earlier.
Right, okay. Ugly Bob says, I'm doing it.
Oh, bless. Thank you.
Yeah, this was brilliant. Yeah, it was a very, very good experience. I'm very, very happy with that. The fans weren't very noisy at all. They ran very quietly indeed. And yeah, it was just an overall great experience. When you look at it in perspective, for how much fun you can have and how much enjoyment in games at 1080p at kind of low or medium, even high settings in some games, the amount of fun you can have with this for like £50 or so, against having to spend sort of £200 on an RX 6600, which, yes, is going to be better, obviously, but it's 4 times the price. Unlikely you're going to get 4 times the performance. And it just carries on at that. As you go up through the ranges, you've obviously got your kind of £300 plus cards, then you've got your £400 cards. You're not going to get 8 times the performance out of those things. So for me, this is like what PC gaming is all about. Squeezing what you can out of hardware that isn't going to cost you a kidney. It's awesome. Mark Berry says, I should have bought another one of those Assassin King coolers. It was only £15, bargain. Again, that is... Now, Deep Cool have been really good to us, and they've sent us a few things for review, and they've always been absolutely great. I have noticed recently there is a new cooler out from Deep Cool, which almost every YouTuber who's reviewed it as being the Noctua D15 killer. And I'm still kind of like, it's the same price roughly as the D15. It's kind of about 1 or 2 degrees difference between it. It's arguably easier to fit, potentially. But the D15 is like 10 years old now. So you'd think in 10 years, like, if you're going to be a competitor to a specific cooler on the market, and I don't think the D15 is all that. I genuinely don't. I've got one up there, and I'm kind of hesitant to ever use it because it's such a pain in the ass to install. I hate installing it. I really do. The clips, the fans are always too big. You can't get near to your graphics card and all that kind of stuff. It just pisses me off. It's huge. It's massive. It does a good job, yes. But these days, a lot of modern coolers, including the Johnsbow, the P5, which is in the PC behind me, actually isn't a million miles off of it. So when you're spending like 100 quid on an air cooler versus spending like 20, 30 quid on a generic or half decent 120mm tower cooler, again, it's that same thing. It's like a 50 quid graphics card versus a 600 quid graphics card. You're not going to get a huge amount of more extra enjoyment out of that really expensive graphics card. Yes, you might get more longevity out of it, and you can probably push it higher on a 4K monitor, but are you actually going to enjoy the games that much more? And in terms of cooler, are you going to get temperatures that drastically different between spending 20 to 30 quid or spending 100 quid? You're probably not. It's probably going to be within a 5 degrees difference, realistically. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the matter. David Underhill said, I paid $880 for Australian. So that's what, about... I'm not sure what the exchange rate is actually on dollars. For my RX 6600 XT at the height of pricing a year ago. Still good value for the performance, even though the 6650 XT is now down to 359 Australian dollars. Yeah, prices have come down. I think graphics cards in the mid-range are dropping and getting to the point of where it's not kind of nosebleed inducing. Especially like, I think the RX 6600, which when it came out, reviewed really badly. Like the RX 6600 was not received well at all in the press and in the kind of YouTuber media. It was almost universally panned. But now, sort of 2-3 years later, the RX 6600 is the kind of the darling of the gaming world. It's in that really nice sweet spot where it's plenty powerful enough to play pretty much every game out there. It's got 8 gigs of RAM and it costs under 200 quid. What's not to like? So that is, I think, where the more kind of looking forward more so. So the graphics cards which are coming out now, if they're going to be reviewed very poorly now, potentially they could become tomorrow's kind of saving grace or saviors of the PC market. It's a really weird one. If you watch reviews long enough, you'll almost always see one product go from being a hero to a villain and vice versa.
Nick Barnes.
Okay. Arali says, I love my Freezer 34 eSports Duo. That is a great cooler. I hate the clips. It's alright if you leave it in one place. If you want to move it around, it's a pain in the backside, but it does perform very well.
Why are you fitting it on your backside?
Don't fit it on your backside. Nick Barnes, question, is the Assassin 4 as hardware thought? It wasn't as good as the previous version. Is that the... yeah, I think it is the Assassin... No. I'm getting confused now. Is it the Deep Cool Assassin? I'm not sure if it is or not. It might be. Yeah, it might be the Assassin 4. Freedom House's warranty does make a difference. Arctic and Corsair compared with getting an MSI warranty is night and day. Yeah, I'm still waiting for my MSI graphics card to be RMA'd, and sadly it's with eBuyer. Now I don't know whether eBuyer, I haven't had to do an RMA with eBuyer for a very, very, very long time. I think the last time I did an RMA with eBuyer was, when did I start working at the BBC?
No idea.
2004 or 7?
Maybe 7, maybe 4.
I think round about 2007, 2008 is the last time I had to do an RMA with eBuyer. And it was very easy, and it went through very quickly. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure if things have got worse there, whether it's because it's with MSI or whatever. I have actually taken some of my somewhat privileged status of having a contact MSI, mentioned it to them when I was talking about the other graphics cards. I said it'd be handy because I'm waiting for an RMA. And they said, well, maybe we can pass it on to our UK rep and see what the deal is, see if we can push it along a little bit further, which I haven't heard back yet. So potentially that might be getting sped up a little bit. Who knows? But we will keep you posted on that. I'll be honest with you, I am missing that graphics card. It has proved to be a real pain in the backside because of trying to juggle other... It is like lots of things are being juggled around, and it's like, I hate having to uninstall graphics drivers and reinstall them in different things. That's a pain in the backside. That's flame. You sat in your chair.
Taking up most of my chair.
Nero, Mike, what is that case? What case is that in the PC behind you? That one there? That is the Series 500 from Thermaltake. And it is a very nice case. I like it a lot. I don't like the clasp on the side. I think that should have been a magnet. I might actually retrofit magnets on there, because I think I could do that. Get rid of that clasp. That unscrews. It looks like it does. Yeah, there's a screw on there. I might do that. I might get rid of that clasp.
Put a nice big knob on there.
No, there's a knob in it, next to it anyway. What was wrong with the MSI card? To be honest with you, it wasn't that much. It was just annoying. It was getting some... Well, there's 3 things it did. It was losing display randomly. It was just blank screen, which would happen maybe 5 times on the bounce, and then not happen for a day or 2. And then I'll be doing something else, and it would do it again. So there were some screen issues with it just going blank. The other thing was the core whine was getting quite obnoxious. So if I was in Adobe Premiere, just moving my mouse around on the screen would cause it to go, you could hear it almost going in time with the mouse. It was really annoying, especially when you're editing, you're listening to what you're being said. And one of the fans was failing. So it's got 3 fans because it was a Trio Z. And if you touched one of the fans, it would make like a weird electrical arcing noise. I don't think it was. I think it was like metal on metal where the bearing might have got damaged or something. And yeah, you could spin it and it would spin fine, but if you touched it, it would make a really weird noise. And when the fans kicked in and stopped, it used to make a kind of like almost like a juddering noise. So the fan needed replacing anyway. So that was something which should be replaced under warranty regardless, because it's one of those kind of things. Well, it happens. Bearings and fan blades go. It's one of those things. And I was thinking, if it wasn't for the fan going as well, I'd probably just live with it, because the noise I can kind of just ignore, and the screen going blank every now and then, it's not the end of the world. But I thought, actually, no, sod it. You pay for a warranty. These things are expensive, so let's make use of it. And hopefully when it comes back, it will be either a new shroud on there or a new card or whatever. I don't know. So yeah, we'll see. Tony Escalante says, oh, this is for Thermaltake. I wish Thermaltake would make a revamp of the Tower 900. I think the Tower 900 was one of those kind of almost like a showpiece PC where it wasn't really designed to be a retail product, but because it got so much interest at shows and stuff, that they kind of almost had to. I'm actually looking forward to the Tower 200. That looks really interesting, because the Tower 200 is supposed to be a micro, or a mini ITX case, but you can put a micro ATX board in there, which actually opens up a massive thing of opportunity. But the weird thing is, it's like £110, I think, for the case. But if you want the little LCD front panel that goes in the front, I think that's like £100. So it's like the tiny LCD panel, which actually does make it look really cool, almost doubles the price of the case. I think that's something which Thermaltake definitely need to address, that the LED panel which fits in there, it's just too expensive. It really is. If they could do it for, let me say, sort of £50, that is too much, really. Like, you could buy a whole case for £50. So I don't know how they quite justify it. If they did it for less, I think they would sell one with every case. I really do. I think it'd be one of those things that'd be like, if it was $29.99, you'd be like, yeah, of course, I'm going to buy one. Why not? But for nearly £100, I think it is a bit too much. For the information that it displays, anyway. That is my honest opinion. What are you pointing to me?
You could buy a case for 50 quid.
You can. Yeah, that one. No, that one.
Yeah, that's what I was pointing at.
Oh, that
it
one.
was there, now it's not.
Okay, right, we'll give you the 5-minute warning now. I think we'll wrap things up at just slightly after 11 o'clock. So if you've got any last dying questions, please feel free to ask them now. Coming up for... I'm trying to think what's coming up on the channel next week in terms of videos. Let's have a quick look in the schedule. Monday's video is going to be... Oh, actually, I should mention, the video that went out on Friday, if you haven't watched it already, on the budget Ryzen AM5 system, seems to have generated a lot of views. A lot of you seem to be interested in that. So the initial kind of releases of AM5 content didn't go down very well at all on the channel, but it seems now people are starting to look at it a little bit more favourably, and actually it's one of our better performing videos of the last couple of months, actually, believe it or not. So it seems that there is starting to be that kind of turn that people are now looking at AM5 as a viable platform, which I can understand it. If the 7600 comes down a little bit more in price, we've got some reasonable priced micro ATX boards on the market now, which are kind of similar price to some of the outgoing AM4 boards. So it's kind of getting there. DDR5 prices are definitely dropping. So those are all things looking in the right direction. And if you're looking at getting another 4 or 5 years out of your platform, it would seem, I would say, a bad idea at the moment to build a brand new AM4 system, unless you get it for a particularly good price.
Robert M.
Robert M. Budget graphics card to feed 4K monitor, no gamer. Well, to be honest with you, pretty much anything will feed a 4K monitor if you're not gaming. Something even like a humble GTX 1030, that will do it quite easily. GTX 1050, Radeon RX 550. If you want something with a little bit of extra grunt to it, it's a very easy thing to do. To actually drive a 4K monitor if you're not gaming. If you're gaming, it changes the whole thing. But yeah, a 4K monitor, ideally, I suppose, if you're running a 4K monitor, you probably want at least 2 gigabytes on the card. Anything less than that, I think you're going to struggle. To be fair, even onboard graphics on a lot of the modern AM4 and AM5 processors can run a 4K monitor at 60 Hz all day long. So it doesn't need a great deal. Pretty much anything you can get your hands on will do it. I think even a GTX 710 might do it as well.
RX 580 from AliExpress will output to 4K monitor for movies, etc.
Yeah, yeah, the RX 5800 will do, definitely. William Bodie, holy moly, about 10 police cars and 5 or 6 fire trucks outside my door. Have you started up the hot dog stand?
That's true.
Beelzeboth, when do you think DDR5 will become the norm? I don't think it's going to be for a long time yet. I think DDR4 still has a good, probably at least a year as a mainstream product. I think after, let's say 18 months. I think by Christmas next year, so heading into 2025, I don't think there'll be many DDR4 systems on the market at all. I think it will be predominantly all DDR5. So 18 months I think it's going to take. If the economy kicks in a little bit better before then, maybe slightly sooner, maybe next summer. But I still think if you're looking for a PC to buy, brand spanking new from the likes of Dell stuff and big box companies, they're going to be pushing DDR5 quite heavily, especially for their kind of more advertised platforms. But they're still selling PCs with DDR4 in on both Intel and AMD. So it's not like they're not selling it at all, but they're not promoting it as heavily as they were.
Forgotten. Oh, Freedom House is off.
Cheers, Freedom House. William Bodie says, don't know what is going on. The street is lit up like Christmas. Hopefully it's not a chimney fire. We had one of them. It was horrible.
But we only had one fire engine, didn't we?
We did only have one fire engine.
They wrecked our floor.
David Underhill says, cheapest AM5 CPU is 342 Aussie dollars. And AM4 is 129. Yeah, that is a big difference. David Underhill says, the DDR5 is now almost the same as DDR4 here. Or there, rather. At the moment, sadly here in the UK, it seems that the best DDR5 memory offers are actually from Corsair, which is fortunate if you're liking Corsair ecosystem. If you don't like the Corsair ecosystem, having Corsair RGB RAM is a nose, because you have to install iQOO or some other software to actually control the RAM. That's a bit of a pain. German police is not like in the US. They tell you, you do it. Right, Tristan G's off. Thank you very much. Right, William Bodie, I think what that is, when someone's getting lippy, it means they're back chatting, and being chinned is punched in the mouth. So he's saying that someone was being a bit mouthy, so he's punched him. Anyway, on that bombshell, I think we will call it a night. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight on the Mike's Unboxing Saturday stream. Hopefully you've enjoyed yourselves. If you have, don't forget, if you haven't already, leave a like on the video. It's always very helpful. And please feel free to share the video with your friends or worst enemies. I don't care either way, because however it gets the views is all good to me. Yep, I can see some of you dropping the hearts in the chat there. I quite like that new chat thing where you can add the hearts and things and I don't know, whatever the other thing is, happy faces. It's all good fun anyway. So, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Review. Oh, actually, I should say as well, thank you all for the super chats and donations, memberships, etc. And don't forget, if you haven't seen the videos that we put out this week, go ahead and watch them. Leave a comment. It's always good for the algorithm. And also, if there's other videos that you want to see on specific products that either we haven't covered or we've covered before and you'd like to see more in-depth content on it, please do let us know. We're always looking out for new ideas and new things to do. There is in the Discord a specific room for that, so video suggestions. So if you have a suggestion for a specific video, you can put the information there and we will definitely take a look at it. And if it's something we can do, it's in our ability to do so, then we will definitely do it. So yes, that is going to wrap things up. Thank you all for joining us this evening. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching. And as you can tell, I'm very tired now. Good night.
Video on how to use Discord.
A video on how to use Discord. I don't know how to use Discord.
It's not that hard, I can do it.
Yeah.
Poppy can do it sometimes.
A video on how to use Discord. I will do my best. I will push the button. Good night, everybody.